A mysterious voice breaks the snowy silence with a cryptic offer. I'll allow you to live in my world, because you won't be poison or medicine. Dying in the freezing cold, she has one final dark request. Someone please tell me how to curse a goddess. But before we find out how she ended up in this frozen wasteland, let's rewind to where it all began. The scene shifts to modern-day Tokyo, where Golden Week is just about to begin. 28-year-old Shoko is completely burnt out and just wants to go home and sleep. The commute turns into a nightmare when the train jumps the tracks, leaving no survivors. Suddenly, she wakes up in a vast white space, heart pounding. Why am I alive? Shoko remembers the train crashing and people flying everywhere. She asks where they are, but the girl on the left is just as lost as the rest of them. Standing in a void of pure white, a cold voice confirms the worst possible outcome. They did not survive that train crash. Before they can even mourn, a divine presence appears with an offer for a second chance. New world, new life. The group is split between total confusion and sudden realization. One of them is already connecting the dots to popular isekai stories. The goddess makes it clear that there is no returning home. Reincarnate or vanish. The choice is entirely theirs. Memories of the train fade as she explains their true purpose. They are being used as literal ingredients for her new world. A heavy silence falls over the group. The realization that hundreds of other passengers were left behind is hard to swallow. It was never about being special or heroic. They were picked because they were neither poison nor medicine to her world. The goddess drops a heavy revelation, claiming Earth is now a soul-hunting ground where everyone they love is basically marked for death. Shoko challenges the pure arrogance of the situation. She wonders if being a goddess gives this woman the right to treat human lives like disposable stock. The harsh reality is simple. No matter how much frustration builds up, there's no way back to the world she once called home. The goddess pivots to hype up the new world as a fantasy paradise of swords and magic, and honestly, the other guy is already sold. The offer is a fresh start at 10 years old with 3 wishes to kick things off. Our girl can only wonder why 3 is the magic number for every isekai ever. Most people would jump at the chance for power, but Shoko isn't interested in picking up a blade. She just wants to find a way to exist without more struggle. Cutting straight to the point, she asks if healing magic is on the table. If she has to live again, she is prioritizing survival over everything else. Shoko adds a healthy body and a dependable mentor to her wish list. The goddess just smiles, confirming it is all doable. Not wanting to miss out, the guy survivor pivots to agriculture. He asks for production skills and copies Shoko's other perks. The last girl joins the wish train, asking for protection magic to finally stand on her own feet. The goddess gives them the green light to dream big. Shoko finally lets out a genuine smile at the thought of a peaceful life. She just wants to heal people and enjoy her newfound freedom. The deal is sealed, and the group begins to fade into white light. The goddess promises to drop them right next to people who can actually help them out. As they drift away, the deity admits she is hyped to see what these earthlings bring to her world. She promises them a long life this time around. Sudden wake-up call. Shoko is back in a bed, but she is fuming about that long life comment after having her first one cut short. Waking up in a strange bed, Shoko looks around the room in total confusion. She stares at her small hands and realizes the goddess actually pulled it off. She really is younger now. Her oversized clothes are the first real sign of her new size. As she shifts around in the bed, she notices something else that stops her in her tracks. Right there next to her is a total stranger fast asleep. The shock hits her hard as she wonders who this guy is and why they are sharing a bed. She reaches out and ruffles his dark hair, wondering if he is a local or another survivor. Even though he looks like he is in his prime, he seems weirdly familiar to her. She calculates that he must be in his late 20s, while she is stuck as a 10-year-old. The man suddenly shifts and looks her right in the eye, noting that she is finally awake. Seeing him actually move and talk sends her into a full panic. She scrambles back, shocked that the sleeping stranger is now a living, breathing person she has to deal with. He explains that he found her yesterday while she was unconscious out in the elements. The mention of being found in a winter forest makes her realize just how close she came to the end. Shoko realizes that if she hadn't been picked up, she would have been a frozen popsicle by now. The goddess really did her dirty by dropping her in a winter forest with zero survival gear. She gives her savior a proper thank you, but her stomach ruins the vibe by screaming for food. The guy just takes it in stride, relieved she is finally alert and talking. The hunger growl echoes through the whole house. Suddenly, another guy enters the scene, laughing his head off at the tiny girl's predicament. This new face turns out to be a total sweetheart. He offers to cook her a meal right then and there to fix that empty stomach. Before she can even process the new guy, the rescuer scoops her up and plants her in a chair. To him, she is basically just a kitten that needs to be fed and managed. The second-hand embarrassment is hitting Shoko hard. She reflects on how she is a grown adult in a kid's body, yet she is completely helpless and needs them for everything. Pride takes a backseat once the food actually arrives. A steaming bowl of soup is placed in front of her, and it looks like the best thing she has ever seen. Shoko digs into the meal with a quick thanks, finally getting some life back into her. Leon and Falco just watch from the side, probably relieved they don't have a starvation case on their hands. Her face completely brightens up as she hammers through the food, humming happily with every single bite. The guys are actually dazed watching this tiny girl eat like she hasn't seen a carb in a decade before they both burst out laughing. A quick flashback to yesterday shows Falco heading back to the cabin with a fresh haul of rice and supplies. He lets Leon know the harvest is good and gets ready to drop their catch off at the guild. While they are handling the chores, Falco notices something unexpected and calls Leon over to the back of the room. Leon completely loses it once he realizes Falco literally just found a random kid out in the middle of nowhere. He can't believe she was just wandering the forest alone yesterday. Falco breaks down the weird situation, explaining how he just stumbled across her footprints out of the blue near the hut. It is suspicious since there weren't any other tracks, making it sound like high-level transportation magic. Leon is skeptical because that stuff is mostly just legends, and admits he has never heard of magic like that actually existing. Leon is piecing it together. He is a former hunter and knows these woods are no joke, so a tiny kid making it this far just does not add up. Leon points out the major red flags between her fancy clothes and perfectly tended hair. She is way too pampered to be some random forest stray. Leon tries to see how soft her hair actually is, but Falco is not having it. He shuts that down with a quick slap to the hand before Leon can even get a proper feel. Looking at her sleep, they wonder if she is part of some high-stakes plot. Even as a kid, she could have been a lethal threat if she really wanted to be. The weight of the situation finally hits Leon. He is totally stressed out while Falco confirms that keeping her presence a secret is their best bet for now. Leon starts panicking over what to do with her, like finding foster parents or a church. But then Falco drops the real bombshell. He is just going to raise her himself. Leon is spiraling at the thought of two bachelors raising a kid for a decade. Meanwhile, Falco is already planning to turn her into a pro hunter. Leon notes that her hands are way too soft for manual labor, making it clear she has never held a weapon. Falco is not about to let him get too comfortable and shuts him down with another quick slap. He is not backing down on his plan to raise her. He insists that learning the sword is a survival necessity, and she will just have to toughen up. He looks dead serious as he claims ownership of the situation. Since he was the one who found her, he decides she belongs to him now. Leon is completely weirded out by the sudden possessiveness. He tries to bring some logic back to the room, suggesting they should probably ask the kid what she actually wants first. The group finally sits down for proper introductions. Falco presents himself as a demon hunting pro, while explaining that Leon is just a guild courier who delivers food. Shoko tries to give her name, but the guys immediately start butchering it. The conversation devolves into a chaotic mess of different nicknames until nobody knows what to call her. Giving up on the fight, she decides to just go by Sho since it is easier for everyone. Falco offers a quick apology for the sudden change but wastes no time moving on. Falco keeps things chill for now. He does not need a full report on her past, especially considering she just barely survived a demon-infested mountain. The vibe shifts as the talk turns to the future. Falco lays out 3 distinct paths for where she goes from here. The choices are laid out plain and simple. She can head to a church, find foster parents, or just stay right here with him. A heavy silence hangs over the table as the weight of the offer sinks in. Xiao cannot help but wonder if this is the lucky break she actually wanted. He tries to sell her on becoming a swordmaster to sweeten the deal. Xiao is not buying it and shuts him down with a stone-cold rejection. Leon is absolutely losing it while Falco's ego takes a massive hit. He is genuinely baffled that anyone would turn down his training. Falco pushes for an answer on how she plans to survive without any combat skills. Xiao realizes she needs a more practical plan for independence. Xiao wants to study healing. Falco brings up a trial ceremony and asks if she has any healing aptitude. Shoko has no clue what he is talking about, but he mentions every 7-year-old goes through it. Our girl starts sweating as she realizes her knowledge of this world is basically zero. She tries to play it off with a laugh while they explain the ceremony, just measures magical power. The conversation hits a wall when she asks if magic is a common thing for everyone. The guys just stare at her in complete shock like she just said the sky is green. Falco gets way too close for comfort, demanding to know how she has never used magic before. Shoko just cowers under the pressure while admitting she is a total rookie. The questions get even weirder as they ask how she even handles basic things like the bathroom without magic. She just sits there in silence, looking like her brain just short-circuited. Full-on existential crisis mode has officially arrived for Shoko. She is completely lost and has no idea how she is going to survive this level of weirdness. While the guys whisper about her potentially being some secret high-stakes successor, she makes her exit. She slams the door behind her, insisting that she did not hear a single word of their gossip. Shoko lets out a deep sigh before checking out the bathroom, wondering how people even use magic for basic stuff. She stares at the toilet for a second, then spots a strange diamond-shaped gem on the wall and leans in for a closer look. She reaches out to touch the mysterious gem, wondering if it is just a decoration. The moment her finger makes contact, the crystal erupts in a bright white light that covers her entire hand. A loud flushing sound rings through the room, making her jump back in total surprise. She stares at the toilet, realization hitting her that she actually triggered a magical device. Looking down at her hand, she connects the dots between her touch and the water flushing. A look of pure shock washes over her face as she realizes she might actually possess some form of magic power. Our girl sprints out of the bathroom with a massive grin, shouting for Leon and Falco. She holds her hand out with pride, announcing to everyone that she finally used magic for the first time. Leon and Falco look surprised, but Falco quickly suggests they find someone to test her healing aptitude. He thinks it is a better idea to let the church take full responsibility for her training from here on out. He leans in and tells her that the church is the absolute best place for anyone looking to master healing. Shoko looks at him, considering the offer to start her training in a professional environment. Shoko asks if she can just commute to the church while staying at Falco's place. The guys are clearly not ready for that kind of logic. She is practically beaming, fully set on her plan to stay put. Falco tries to act cool while admitting he does not actually mind the idea. Shoko's eyes go wide as she asks if he is for real. Leon can barely keep it together, teasing his friend for being so soft. The vibe descends into chaos as Falco tries to kick his friend for the teasing. Watching the two of them, she realizes the man who saved her is actually a decent person at heart. She doubles down on her choice with a surge of determination. Since she is not a fighter, she decides she is going to stay right here and let him keep taking care of her, laying in the grass. Exactly 1 week has passed since she officially reincarnated into this different world. Level 10 reached. It is the perfect day to delete some slimes, so she charges in with a clean swing. Victory. She holds up her latest loot and celebrates her 30th win of the day, taking a break on the ground. She starts questioning why her new life already feels like a never-ending grind. Each stone is worth 500 gil. Her bucket is already worth 15,000, which is a decent payout for a morning of work. A heavy sigh, she is exhausted, but the dream of independence keeps her motivated to earn even more. Falco justifies the lapse, sitting by claiming it is just local culture to prioritize children. Shoko is not quite buying the logic, but he tells her she better get used to it soon. She decides to pivot and asks for a crash course on how this world actually works. Falco is surprisingly chill about being her personal encyclopedia. Time for a map reveal. This place is called the Four Lands, divided into specific industry zones like magic, mining, hunting, and agriculture. Falco points out that Leon's light features are the norm here, making dark-haired people like them a rare breed. They can mostly be found in the southern plains. He drops some lore about his own family, explaining that his hunter mother was just passing through when he was born. Shoko is relieved to hear his dad is still around, even if his mom ditched the quiet life because it was too boring for a hunter. The real bombshell drops when he mentions humans in this world live up to 200 years. Falco just keeps ruffling her hair like it is no big deal, leaving her completely stunned. Falco mentions that adulthood starts at 20 and families can start as late as 150. This longevity is a shock, so she asks for his actual age. The man is 50 years old, yet he still considers himself a youngster in this world. Shoko is reeling from the fact that her guardian has been around for half a century. A 200-year lifespan is a wild concept compared to her previous world. Thinking back to her old routine, she knows for a fact she could not survive that grind for centuries. Peace at last, as she enjoys the freedom to do whatever she wants with her day. The quiet time is cut short when Falco finally tracks her down in the field. The greeting is energetic as she shares the news of her slime hunt victory. Falco immediately goes into lecture mode about safety and keeping potions on hand. He mentions hunter etiquette while judging her choice of adventuring gear. Shoko stays grounded, reminding him that she never signed up for this career path anyway. He loses his composure and tells her she looks exactly like a fisherman. She gives him a look that proves she is not finding his joke funny at all. Falco is dodging for his life as Sho starts swinging a stick like a seasoned pro, forcing him to scramble back. He manages to throw out a compliment on her form even while barely avoiding a face full of wood. She gives him a cold glare and decides to gatekeep a prime slime hunting spot just out of spite. This little menace knows exactly how to push his buttons without saying much at all. Falco starts acting like a total drama queen, claiming his role as a guardian gives him the legal right to stalk her. Xiao just stares at him with zero emotion, clearly not buying into his overprotective performance. The sound of a carriage breaks up the bickering as the weekly supply wagon rolls onto the scene. Falco assumes it is just their buddy Leon, but Xiao notices a mysterious extra passenger tagging along for the ride. Leon hops off with a huge wave, immediately teasing her about looking like a local fisherman. He goes in for an enthusiastic greeting, completely ignoring the fact that she is still armed and dangerous. The stick comes out again as Sho starts whacking Leon with zero mercy. He just laughs off the beating while she huffs in annoyance, leaving everyone else to wonder why these guys enjoy getting bullied so much. Leon lifts her up to cheer her up, telling her not to take the fashion jokes so seriously. A tall man with long hair steps out of the carriage and asks for a turn holding the kid, but Leon is definitely hogging all the attention for now. Seinen introduces himself with a calm vibe, while Sho is absolutely floored by how tall he is, trading names while she gets a better view of the world from up there. A smooth smile and some serious shade. Seinen is just glad Falco's chaotic energy hasn't corrupted the kid yet. The mood shifts as Seinen demands to know why Sho is dressed like a total mess. Falco is clearly feeling the heat under that intense glare and struggles to explain himself. Out of place and oversized Xiao wishes she had a belt to hold everything together and tries to escape the awkward vibe. A heavy sigh follows the news that Sho has been doing her own laundry. Seinen goes into full lecture mode on Falco for failing at the most basic guardian duties. Back at the table, the conversation takes a heavy turn. Seinen asks the one question everyone has been avoiding about Sho's old life. Falco is not having it and snaps at the monk for being so blunt. The room goes quiet as he demands to know why this is coming up out of nowhere. Xiao drops the heavy news that she can never return to her old home. She tells Falco it is okay, even though her family is essentially on a hit list. Leon looks horrified after hearing the word hunted. Sho explains that her entire town has been turned into a literal hunting ground for the powerful. She reveals that every soul was taken except for 3 people who were considered useless. Falco panics and shakes her, demanding to know if she was a target too. Back at the table, Sho explains where the other survivors ended up based on their wishes. One chose a life of farming on the plains, while the other went looking for magic in the marshes. The guys are stunned to realize they only found Sho in the woods. This means the other 2 survivors are lost somewhere out in the world. Seinen gives her a gentle head pat as an apology for the painful conversation. He admits he has never heard of humans being hunted and wonders if it is some dark mountain ritual. The group decides to shift gears and get back to business. It is finally time to start the magic ceremony. It is finally time for the trial. Seinen tells Sho to pour her magic into the pillar, and she reaches out with a healthy amount of skepticism. The crystal lights up like a neon sign. She has a natural talent for healing, and that realization finally shuts up any doubts about her being useless in this world. Leon is already celebrating, but Falco looks like he is about to start a fight. The energy in the room just took a steep dive on the hunter's side. Seinen breaks down the stats, explaining that while her mana pool is deep, her balance is all over the place. She could be a top-tier magician, but Falco is still pushing his own agenda. The monk is standing his ground, reminding the group that Sho gets the final say. Falco is clearly feeling the pressure, gritting his teeth as his authority slips away. Seinen suggests taking her away for a week of professional training. Healers are basically cheat codes in this world, and he thinks she needs to learn the ropes properly. A sudden table slam ends the discussion before it can even start. Falco tries to play the protective guardian card, but everyone can see he is just being stubborn. Seinen reads Falco like an open book. "Rather, you're the one who seems anxious," he says, as the hunter just grinds his teeth in silence. Shoko shut that down immediately. "That's not it," she snaps before turning to the monk with a polite Seinen-sama. Training logistics are on the table. Seinen says 12 is the usual age to start, so Shoko asks if she can just wait until the spring. Then she drops the reason why. Looking right at the group with a bright smile, she declares she just wants to stay in Falco's care. Leon is absolutely dead. He is howling with laughter at the hunter's expense while Falco screams at him to shut up. Seinen finally gives in with a heavy sigh. Since she is staying, he suggests they at least start with some basic healing lessons. Little head, zero thoughts. Seinen tells her to relax, but she is already confused by how fast things are moving. Theory time. Seinen explains that since the soul and body are basically glued together, you have to fix the spiritual side to heal the physical one. Shoko starts to get the vibe, but the monk wants to show her the real deal. He calls for Leon to step up for a live demo. Leon is ready to help out. Seinen tells Xiao to take his hand and try to focus on the actual form of his soul. Connection made as Shoko clenches his hand, a surge of energy washes over her, and she starts to see through the physical shell. The spiritual world is beautiful, but something is off. Leon looks like a glowing statue, except his left ankle is missing its light. Leon explains the backstory. He used to be a hunter, but a delayed heal meant the damage stuck even if he looks fine now. Seinen drops a reality check about the limits of their magic. If the soul forgets what a limb looked like, no amount of healing can bring it back. Shoko grips Leon's arm, feeling for his pain. She really wants to help him out after hearing about his old injury. Shoko has a sudden realization about how the soul loses its memory of body parts. She immediately asks Leon for permission to test her theory, and he is down to see what happens. Tightening her grip, she locks in for the attempt. Her plan is to copy the healthy foot and mirror it onto the broken one. She focuses on the healthy right foot to get a perfect reference. Then she tries to reverse the image to restore the missing shape. Taking it slow, she starts pumping soul energy into the gap. She wonders if a soul can recognize a shape that is close enough to the original. A strange aura appears as she reaches for a deeper power. She realizes she can pull from the goddess origin energy inside her. The dark gap in his soul finally fills with light and vanishes. She pulls away with a grin and asks him for an immediate status update. Leon feels the cozy warmth of the healing magic. He is already back in peak condition and ready to go. Xiao finally catches her breath but immediately loses her balance. She hits the floor and blacks out, sending Falco into a panic, while Seinen tries to keep things under control. Back on the road, Seinen is hyped that they secured a natural-born healer. They are short on staff, so this is a huge win for the team. The ride comes to a halt when Seinen tells Leon to hop off. He is confused but jumps down to see what the plan is. Seinen tells him to check his leg, and the realization finally hits. Leon moves his foot around and discovers that his old injury is actually gone. Seinen plays it cool, but gives a stern warning to keep this a secret. Xiao's healing is way too cracked, and they can't let word of this power get out. The realization that he can hunt again hits Leon like a truck. Xiao isn't just a kid anymore, she is the beacon of hope for every injured warrior. Falco brings the mood down by asking if Xiao's family was hunted. To keep things safe, Seinen suggests telling everyone the leg healed naturally so Leon can return to hunting by spring. A simple nod is all it takes to lock in the secret of her magic. Leon finally sees a path back to his old life and his days as a hunter. While he dreams of the future, Xiao is completely out of commission and snoring after saving him, leaving Seinen to quietly thank the goddess for her arrival. 3 weeks in, and the reincarnation life is finally starting to click. With the slimes handled, it is time for a relaxing day of herb gathering. Efficiency is high and she fills her whole basket without even moving a meter. After her trial ceremony, Seinen started teaching her the basics of healing and forest gathering. A full bag only nets 500 gil, which is mid compared to hunting rewards. To her, the inventory grind in a fantasy world is the peak experience. She is geeking out over her haul when a sudden clashing of metal breaks the silence. The boys are back at it with Falco and Leon spending their day clashing steel in another intense training session. Things get a little too real when Leon takes a clean hit, and Sho can only watch in shock as he calls for a quick patch-up. Leon is basically a magnet for injuries, but luckily our girl is right there to drop some healing magic on his arm. He is genuinely grateful, admitting she totally saved his skin as the light from the spell finally fades. Leon is feeling brand new after that heal, practically glowing with relief from the treatment. Seeing an opening, Falco tries to pull the warrior card, claiming that a healer needs intensive sword training to truly survive. Xiao isn't buying it for a second, hard passing on the sword training to go learn some cooking skills instead. Falco is left sulking in the dirt, clearly jealous that Gina is stealing all her attention yet again. She has a lot to learn and prefers a kitchen over a battlefield, heading straight for a local cabin to meet her mentor. Leon was the one who introduced her to Gina, the landlady of an inn who is now teaching her the ropes. Greeting the first woman she has actually met in this world, Xiao bursts into the cabin ready to get to work. Gina is a bit surprised to see her so early, but the cozy kitchen vibe is a welcome break from all the macho energy outside. It is total wholesome vibes as Gina checks to make sure the little one stayed warm in the cold weather. Xiao is hyped, confirming she is 100% ready for her cooking lesson to finally begin. They start the lesson by going over all the seasonings and ingredients Gina mentioned during their last session. The main course today is actually lizard, which is a massive shock for our MC since she has zero hunting experience. Gina points out that hunting small game is a top-tier way for kids to make money and promises the meat is a total delicacy. It is time for a kitchen montage as our girl handles the prep work by peeling, chopping, and boiling the meat. The dish finally hits the plate, and after a job well done, it is time for the moment of truth. The texture is on another level, and she can't believe how much better this tastes than the dry rations she has been surviving on. Gina starts dropping all kinds of recipe ideas for salads and sandwiches while our girl geeks out over the gourmet potential. Gina is totally charmed, patting Sho on the head and asking if she wants to come study at her store in town. Our girl is hyped, agreeing that it sounds like a plan. Xiao is practically glowing with excitement about all the new things she can do. Falco just stands in the back sulking like a rejected puppy. Realizing her guardian is in his feelings, Sho explains that she just wants to experience life over the next few years. She promises him she won't try to do everything at once. She keeps the wholesome vibes going, promising to always come home to him so they can stay together. Falco clenches his fist, clearly moved by the fact that she actually wants to stay. A rare soft smile breaks across Falco's face as he realizes Sho isn't going to just throw him away. She hops toward him, insisting that she is the one who is actually a bother. Watching the cute scene from the sidelines, Leon notes how well the two are getting along. He gets a bit deep, mentioning how childhood scars stick around even as an adult and can't be fixed with magic potions. Sensing the heavy mood, Gina asks if he is talking about Falco's mother. Leon confirms it, explaining that while she was a legendary hunter, she definitely wasn't cut out for motherhood. Gina looks on with a hopeful smile, wishing Sho the best on her journey to becoming a healer. Carriages and goodbyes are in full swing as the group prepares to go their separate ways until the snow melts. Winter becomes a massive grind session of herb picking and lizard hunting that nets her a cool 1.6 million gills. Her wallet is looking fat, but Falco is clearly the MVP when it comes to bringing home the big bucks. Despite the strict house rules, winter eventually fades, and it is finally time for their big move to the city. While moving through the brush, Falco decides to drop a little warning so Sho is not caught off guard. Apparently, this dude is a local celebrity, because he is the only hero standing between the town and the winter forest demons. Leon points out the town, hyping up the welcome committee waiting for Falco. Far below, the buildings finally peek through the trees. Shoko spots the gathering and freezes up. It is a whole mob scene down there. The nerves hit hard as she grips her cloak, wondering if she will be able to fit in with the locals. The welcome committee for Falco is on another level. Girls are literally coming out of the woodwork to scream his name and offer him snacks as if he is a world-class idol. Our girl is just standing there buffering as she processes her new life in Northtown. It has been 2 days since they arrived, and the hero treatment for Falco still has not slowed down. Falco is getting absolutely crushed by his fan club, while Sho watches from the sidelines. Someone is even trying to drag him away while he desperately reaches out for help. She is low-key salty because Falco promised to take her to the guild today, but got distracted by his own popularity. She goes back to sweeping the street until a random voice snaps her out of it. A group of local kids pulls up to investigate the new girl in town. The leader crosses his arms and demands to know if she is really the legendary hero's adopted child. The kid starts yelling when he realizes she is totally ignoring his presence. He is blushing hard from the frustration, but tries to keep up his tough guy act. Xiao has officially checked out of the conversation to admire the local fashion. She is mesmerized by the girls with long hair and pretty clothes, completely leaving the boy on read. The spiky kid is losing it because Shoko is busy thinking about her shopping list. He finally snaps and gives her a hard shove while yelling for her attention. Our girl hits the ground hard as the bully keeps ranting about how rude she is for ignoring him. He is clearly not used to people not caring about his existence. It turns out this is some kind of mandatory initiation for the new kids in town. The whole group stands over her while the dramatic lighting sets the mood. A new boy named Alfie steps in to block the bully and tells him to leave her alone. The leader just pouts and calls him a goody two-shoes for ruining the fun. While the boys argue about their social ladder, Shoko has officially had enough. She grabs a thick stick from the ground with a very calm look in her eyes. She stands her ground with the branch in hand, leaving the kids stuttering in surprise. The hunter instincts are definitely starting to kick in. Shoko realizes that if she loses here, she will be stuck as an underling forever. She swings the stick and lands a clean hit, sending the boy yelling in pain. She lets it rip with a solid hit, making it clear she won't be anyone's underling. The bully lets out a panicked yell as his tough guy act evaporates. Kane is officially a puddle, crying about how using a weapon is unfair. Xiao hits back with facts, calling him out for being a big kid pushing around a little girl. The peanut gallery instantly flips the script and agrees she's right. They all just stare in silence, trying to process the new power dynamic in town. Suddenly, the whole squad swarms her with hype and introductions. It is a massive vibe shift that has her social battery redlining in seconds. A girl named Aura steps in and grabs her shoulders to personally say thanks. Our girl is just trying to catch her breath while the introductions keep coming. Aura is hyped that someone finally taught Kane a lesson. She flashes a friendly smile and officially asks to be friends, leaving Sho visibly flustered. Even the bully finds some humility, offering a shy apology for his earlier behavior. The crew is ready to show her the local spots, and the tension has completely vanished. Falco scoops her up like a sack of potatoes and makes his exit. He shuts down the playdate immediately, telling everyone they have official guild business to handle. The crew waves goodbye as the duo heads off into the city. Falco ignores the kids grumbling because keeping his promise to her is his top priority. He pulls her into a sudden hug, clearly proud of how fast she is making friends. Our girl is just trying to breathe while he celebrates her social success. She asks him to lean in for a secret, and he is all ears. She gets close to whisper the real tea about what happened with the boys. She finally admits that she absolutely wrecked those kids in a fight. Instead of a lecture, she gets a proud smile and some well-deserved praise for her victory. They finally make it to the main event. The local guild is a massive stone fortress that looks straight out of a high-level dungeon. Xiao is vibrating with excitement because the building is huge. Falco explains the plan is to get her registered as an apprentice hunter so she can start making that guild money. Xiao is locked in and ready to make this official. After a long winter of grinding herbs, she is not wasting any more time getting her apprentice status. The duo steps into the main hall and finds the place buzzing. It is a sea of people that has our girl doing a double take at the crowd. They reach the desk where a receptionist named Alice greets Falco with a warm welcome. He gets straight to the point and introduces his new student for registration. Taking the lead, Xiao introduces herself with a polite bow and a big smile. Alice is clearly impressed, noting that the boss is doing a great job raising her. Registration time is finally here, but there is a catch. Alice pulls out a mystical device and asks for a simple blood sample to make it official. The hype train hits a wall the moment Xiao sees the needle. She is not about that life and starts begging for any other way to get her license. She bites the bullet and takes the prick, but immediately uses her magic to close the wound. Alice is floored by the display and realizes the new recruit is already a pro healer. Alice is curious about the monk who officiated the trial. Falco casually mentions that Shoko actually received direct guidance from him. Registration comes with some immediate perks. Alice hands over a standard-issue guild pouch that works as a magical storage space for her supplies. It is a classic item box setup. Shoko realizes she can stack up to 99 items in a single slot, which is a massive win for her herb-gathering grind. A basic pouch is plenty for a beginner. Alice then turns her attention to Falco to see what kind of high-level gear a pro hunter is rocking. Falco flexes his status with a proud smirk. He claims his custom gear can fit an entire Akabane Sara's, and Shoko is not even trying to imagine how that physics works. Alice drops some sage advice about safety. She warns the new recruit not to be reckless like some other hunters, and Shoko is happy to stick to a low-stress lifestyle. Teamwork is the name of the game. Alice reminds them to keep the communication lines open before Falco asks to see the loot they gathered this week. Alice is caught off guard as bags of loot spill across the counter. She did not expect this kind of volume from a rookie. She mentions that Leon is usually the one bringing in this kind of haul. Falco steps in to make sure she knows this was all Shou's own hard work. Alice takes the bags to start the appraisal and tells Shou to wait for a bit. Shou is more than happy to hang out while she works. Xiao starts vibing with her brand new magic pouch while she has some free time. It looks good and she is loving the new gear. She even tests the capacity by sliding her entire walking stick inside. It fits perfectly and she realizes her gathering life just got much easier. Falco tries to keep it together, but he eventually cracks and starts laughing. Xiao is not about it and hits him with a major side-eye. A new hunter named Gaius walks through the door and comments on the crowd. Alice gives him the rundown and explains that they are here for an official registration. The crowd is already gossiping about Falco's supposed adopted kid and her healing skills. Xiao is not exactly thrilled about the sudden attention. A veteran hunter named Gaius walks right up and puts her on the spot. He wants a test of her healing abilities immediately. Falco tries to shut him down, but Gaius is determined to talk to the girl himself. She has no idea who this guy is, but the pressure is definitely on. Instead of backing away, Shoko gives a confident smile. She accepts the challenge because helping others is part of the job. She reaches out and makes contact to begin the treatment. As her magic flows, she sees the reality of his condition. Gaius is a tank with a soul that is practically flickering from hidden damage. His body is covered in old battle scars that never properly healed. She decides to fix his right knee first by mirroring the healthy soul shape from his other leg. Since she is already at it, she pushes her magic one more time to patch up a nasty shoulder injury too. Shoko admits she only has enough magic left to fix his knee and shoulder. Gaius only expected the shoulder repair, but he is seriously impressed by her power. The effort leaves our MC completely drained and gasping for air. Alice officially welcomes Xiao to the Hunters Guild, but our girl is still processing the fact that she is in the big leagues now. While Gaius and Alice chat about other guilds, Shou is low-key fuming that her healing was just treated like a side quest. Falco senses the bad vibes and tries to make a quick exit. Falco tries to drag her away, but Gaius shouts his name before he can even take 2 steps. Gaius is actually feeling like a brand new man and tells Alice that the kid has some serious talent. He wonders if she could fix his ancient knee injury next, but Alice shuts that down real quick. Apparently, that bad leg is a legendary badge of honor from the time he saved the town from a monster. Leon pulls the veteran hunter aside for a private chat and tells him to try doing the impossible by bending that knee. Gaius tries to move his leg but assumes it is still broken, only to freeze when his knee actually bends. Leon watches in silence, realizing Shou went ahead and fixed the impossible injury without even being asked. Gaius is losing his mind trying to figure out what just happened, but Leon shuts him down immediately. He asks the veteran hunter to keep Shou powers a secret, dropping the bombshell that she already fixed his own permanent injury too. Gaius agrees to keep his mouth shut, though Leon suggests he should still get a professional checkup just to be safe. Gaius is still in shock that he can finally stand in a hunting line again. Leon just sighs and walks away, feeling exhausted by the chaotic energy of both the hunter and our MC. Back at the church, Seinen is waiting at the entrance to welcome the group. Shou is clearly in a bad mood after her draining encounter, but she refuses to tell Falco what is actually bothering her. Seinen announces that it is time to start the actual healing training. Before they get into the magic, he hands a mysterious piece of cloth to a very confused Xiao. This long cloth is meant to be a signal for when she is on duty to heal others. Xiao is stunned to learn that the church provides these services for free, meaning she won't be seeing any gil for her hard work. Seine explains the church's business model where donations from grateful citizens fund their entire operation. This allows them to dispatch healers and keep the church fully supplied without charging any direct fees. He compares their service to a public ambulance that people should only use in moderation. Since potions are always an option, he suggests they take things slow and steady with her magic training. The peace is shattered when Leon shows up looking stressed. He calls our girl out for already showing off her skills back at the guild by fixing a veteran's leg when she was supposed to be staying low-key. Xiao admits she did it, but the gravity of the situation finally sets in. Healing an injury from 30 years ago is a feat that simply should not be possible with standard magic. The fact that she fixed it in record time is what has Leon really worried. He warns that if the public ever finds out about her god-tier healing abilities, the entire town is going to lose its mind. The monk goes silent as he mulls over the logic of using symmetry to reverse physical damage. After a long pause, he finally turns his attention back to our MC with an intense look in his eyes. He warns that her revolutionary ideas could flip the world of healing upside down if they ever leaked out. For her own safety, he insists she keep her powers undercover and only trust a select few with the truth. Seine gives our girl a head pat while reminding her to keep those cracked abilities low-key from now on. She takes the L and offers a quick apology for the slip-up. Seine reassures her that being kind is never a mistake and plans to start her formal training the next morning. He thinks it is best for her to grind with the other guild apprentices, and she is totally down for the plan. A new morning kicks off with Falco acting like a human alarm clock. He tells our girl it is time to get up and head outside for training, while she barely manages to crawl out from under the covers. Sword training is the first thing on the menu, even if Sho is still half asleep. To her, it is basically just a repetitive cardio session of practice swings. She puts in the work with her wooden sword, letting out a few focused grunts. Falco watches from the side and gives her props for making real progress. The grind is interrupted when Gina shouts that breakfast is ready. Xiao is quick to pivot to the kitchen while Falco tries to squeeze in one last tip about her leg positioning. Life is a full-time hustle between helping Gina in the kitchen and studying magic. After her chores, she heads over to Seine for some formal training alongside the other apprentices. North Town serves as a foundation for the youth here who live incredibly long lives. It is a home base they can always return to, no matter where their path leads them. Falco mentions they will be sticking around for a while, suggesting she treat North Town as her own hometown. Shell looks up from her meal to ask if this is where he actually grew up. Our boy Falco looks off into the distance, wondering about his own origins. He admits that he is not quite sure where his real hometown actually is. Gina shuts that down fast with a heavy bowl and a reminder that he is already home. She mentions how much help they have had from Gaius, Leon, and even the monk. The landlady offers to spill some tea about Falco being a menace as a kid. Sho is totally down for the gossip, but Falco is already begging for a break. Before the secrets can come out, Falco literally carries Sho away for her bedtime. Gina watches them go before turning her attention to some other customers calling her over. Elsewhere in the inn, two guys start whispering about some drama involving Falco's mother and a new boyfriend. They are debating if they should even mention the love affair to him. Gina looms behind them, her interest piqued by the mention of lakes in Marsh's town. She leans in with a smirk and asks them to tell her everything they know. The next day, Seine gathers all the apprentices outside. He announces that everyone is present and tells the group they are splitting up into teams by gender. Xiao gets zero choice in her squad as a spiky-haired kid literally drags her away. He declares she is rolling with the boys now, and she is too stunned to even argue. Our girl is officially stuck in the boy group and she is not vibing with it at all. The crowd is gossiping about the sudden team change, but the plan is already set. Xiao is fuming, realizing her tomboy outfit is why everyone thinks she is a guy. She is ready to throw hands with Leon for giving her these clothes in the first place. Alfie slides into the chat to ask about her slime hunting expertise. She tries to act casual, admitting she has only done a bit of training in the North Forest. The boys are full of hype, begging her to show off her moves in the rocky area. Sho is caught in a sparkle storm of pure peer pressure. While hiking through the boulders, she spots Aura and the girls picking herbs in the peaceful valley. She is low-key jealous of their chill mission while she is stuck on a mountain trek. They finally reach the summit, and the view is a total flex. The town looks like a tiny model from up here, making them feel like they are standing on top of the world. Alfie starts sharing the local lore, mentioning a star festival that happens on the longest day of summer. Xiao is instantly curious about the town traditions. It is a night where the whole town gathers with lamps to welcome the stars to Earth. The goal is to keep the light going and make the evenings last as long as possible. Xiao is totally vibing with the idea and thinks it sounds like a dream. She is already planning to make Falco take her when the big night arrives. The peaceful moment is shattered when the spiky-haired kid stomps into view with a mob of slimes. He is hyped to see show off the skills she picked up from her training with Falco. Alfie panics because there are way too many slimes for them to handle. The spiky kid is sweating and begging for help while Sho demands to know why he led the monsters straight to them. Back at the summit, the trio is absolutely gassed after the fight. They somehow made it through the chaos, but they are all huffing and puffing from the effort. Alfie is stunned by the loot, noticing that Sho magic stones are a beautiful light blue instead of the murky trash they usually get. Sho is just confused, asking if the difference is caused by the slime acid. Slimes vomit acid when stabbed, but do it twice and they will stop. After that, you can finish them off. One quick strike and the loot drops. It is a beautiful, high-quality light blue magic stone. The kids realize the acid actually boosted the value. The boys are buzzing about the high-quality loot. Xiao stands there with a major pout, totally over the conversation. The leader asks if they can start hunting just like her. Xiao gives them the green light and they are absolutely stoked. The squad rallies to go find some epic sticks just like Sho. She realizes the kid actually has some decent leadership skills under that bratty exterior. Turns out Alfie is the oldest, but Kane is the one calling the shots. Xiao just laughs and tells them they are actually pretty cool. Kane is turning beet red after the compliment. The crew marches off to start their stick collection quest while he tries to play it cool. The slime grind finally pays off. The kids are racking up high-quality stones and their pockets are getting fat with gil. Finding a bestie in Aura was a win. They spend their days picking dye herbs together, and the wholesome vibes are exactly what Sho needed. Daily healing practice is still the move. The local hunters are starting to realize that keeping their bodies in peak condition is the top priority. Xiao is hyped about her training and all the hunters she is meeting. She gushes about how amazing it is, while Falco just vibes and gives her a simple icy. Bedtime is non-negotiable for Falco. He lifts her into the covers and tells her that a child's only job is to sleep, so she happily drifts off. Falco remains a softie even in the busy city. He gives her a gentle head pat and whispers goodnight, proving their bond is as solid as ever. Life felt perfect, but Sho had no idea the peace was about to shatter. She never expected the summer to bring a twist that would flip her world upside down. Xiao is completely mesmerized by a sky full of stars. She looks over at Falco and tells him how beautiful it is, but she is quickly snapped out of the moment when he calls her name. She snaps back to reality and wakes up in her own bed feeling completely lost. The morning light is officially here. Our girl gives a big stretch and tries to remember that dream, but the memories are already slipping away. She makes her way downstairs to find Gina and Falco already hard at work. Gina gives her a warm welcome as she hits the bottom of the steps. Falco looks a little flustered as he returns the greeting. Gina asks if she is heading out to see Seinen, and our girl promises to be careful on her way. A few months have passed since she arrived in Northtown, and summer is officially on the horizon. Seinen decides it is the perfect time to ask if she has heard about the upcoming star-picking day. She confirms that some other kids already spilled the tea on the festival. It sounds like she might need to hit up Aura soon to get a fresh summer fit. Having Aura's family shop as a resource makes festival prep a breeze. While the other girls are scraping their savings together, she has already got the expert's advice. Aura's circle is way sharper than the boys. They saw right through her act the moment they started helping with the festival prep. Aura does not hold back on the insults. In her eyes, the guys are beyond helping if they really failed to notice the truth. Thoughts of the upcoming festival stalls keep drifting into her head. It would be the perfect chance to spend some actual time with Falco. Falco's mood has been heavy lately. It makes the idea of a festival invite feel a lot more complicated than it should be. Something is definitely off with him. Seinen catches her mid-spiral and asks if the prep is going okay. She immediately snaps into defense mode, insisting that everything is totally fine. Seinen shifts the vibe to the post-festival plans. He explains that every summer, a lizard hunt begins in the rock caves far to the west. This 2-month-long grind is officially known as summer hunting. It is a big deal that draws in hunters from across the border territories. Naturally, the crew from Northtown is expected to show up. The news catches our girl off guard. She asks if the town is really sending people. Seinen admits he does not have all the specific details just yet. The pieces finally start falling into place. It turns out Falco is already planning to join the squad. This was clearly what was weighing him down. It is a lot to take in knowing he kept such a dangerous plan secret. As a local hero, Falco usually joins the squad for this annual hunt. The only thing keeping him in town this year is his bond with her. Seinen reminds her that she is officially part of the squad and safe with Gina. Even if everyone splits up, the community has her back. Falco is the only one left in his own head about what to do. She asks for the veteran's opinion on Falco's next move. Seinen is certain he will head out because the man's sense of duty is basically a permanent trait. The temptation to give him a little push is real. In the end, she decides to just step back and let him figure it out on his own terms. Keeping it 100, the thought of him being gone is a heavy vibe. She is definitely going to miss having him around every day. The silence is the worst part though. Seinen sees her struggling and gives her some well-deserved praise for being such a kind soul. Looks like it is time for a little inside info. Seinen offers to share something good to lift her spirits. He leans in with a whisper that must be high-tier tea. One sentence later, and she is looking like she just saw a ghost. Gina asks for a verdict as our girl officially signs up for the plan. Falco stayed silent until the actual festival day, but the whole town already knew he was joining the squad. She decides it is her personal mission to make sure he actually enjoys himself. The preparation is finally complete, and the results are looking 10 out of 10. Aura and the girls are immediately on the hype train. They cannot get over how well the new look suits her. Gina gets a good laugh out of the adorable reaction. Even with all the praise, she is still worried about looking weird as they head out to join the others. Leon and the squad are posted up outside waiting for the girls to arrive. Kane is trying to play it cool, but the nerves are definitely getting to him. The girls finally make their entrance and call out to the crew. Falco is frozen in place the moment he sees her. The squad is having a total system crash seeing her in a dress. It is a massive reality check for the boys who basically forgot they were hanging out with a girl this whole time. Falco is blushing through the awkwardness. He manages to ask if she wants to check out the festival with him. Leon is absolutely losing it over how cute she looks. He picks her up and spins her around while giving her all the compliments. She has to turn him down though. Plans were already made to spend the day with Aura and the girls. Falco takes the defeat with a dramatic hug. Leon tells her to just be back by evening while his brain starts to buffer in the background. The boys are having a total reality check. She hits them with the most deadpan expression and confirms she is actually a girl. Leon has officially entered an empty head state. He cannot believe he spent all this time missing something so obvious. The realization hits her like a truck. She flinches as she finally asks if he legit thought she was a boy this whole time. Leon is out here fumbling his words as he tries to explain the confusion. He admits he just figured she was a cute boy since she was always part of the gang. Falco is legit losing it in the background while she hits him with a serious side-eye. She finally snaps and tells him he is laughing way too much, showing off the new fit with a little twirl. Leon is back on his hype game instantly, telling her she looks straight up adorable in that dress. Falco tries to reclaim the spotlight by saying any color would look good on her. He even gets competitive, claiming he was the first one to recognize how cute she really is. She gives them both a bright smile and a thank you for the backup. Falco just looks away with a huff, clearly still blushing from all the excitement. It is time to finally hit the festival grounds. She grabs Aura's hand, and they start making their move into the crowd. The streets are getting packed as the festival vibe kicks in. Falco stays glued to her side and even offers to carry her if the walking starts to get tiring. Xiao is not feeling the crowd today and lets him know it. She insists it is fine since there are so many people around and asks for his hand. She offers to link up so they do not get separated in the sea of people. Falco looks like his entire system just crashed. They finally make the connection as he tries to play it cool and confirm the plan. She thinks about how he usually goes for hugs anyway. The physical contact is sending him into a major panic. She figures he is probably just finding relief in the physical warmth of her hand. He reflects on how warm her hand feels even though they are barely touching. They keep moving through the festival as he notes the summer heat has nothing on this feeling. Falco is back to overthinking and tries to backtrack on his words. He starts mumbling about how she is misreading his intentions. She tells him it is not that complicated and hits him with the hard truth. She says the warmth is just because he likes her, which leaves him stunned. The light bulb finally turns on for our boy Falco as he realizes he is actually into her. He tries to cope by comparing this feeling to the chill vibes he has with the rest of the crew. Xiao sees right through him and puts a name to the vibe. She calls it love, which basically breaks his brain on the spot. Our girl knows that word is a massive leap for a guy like him. She stays low-key, feeling like they are finally on the same page. Falco is out here clutching her hand like it is his last hope. He really just needs to know if she is riding for him the same way he is for her. She hits him with a cryptic answer and a smile that keeps him guessing. He tries to dig deeper, but she is already vibing with the view. The duo finds a quiet spot to watch the festival lights glow like a sea of stars. It is the perfect wholesome end to their night out. Falco drops some heavy news during a rare moment of closeness. He lets her know he is heading out for the summer hunting trip. 2 months is a long time to be apart, but he promises he is coming back for sure. Sho holds on tight and confirms she is locked in. She handles the news with a smile and teases him for waiting until the very last second to bring this up. Our boy feels the guilt and leans in for a quick apology. Xiao just promises she will be right here when his hunt is over. They make a silent promise to stay together as the festival lights fade. The countdown starts now since the hunters leave in 3 days. Fast forward to the departure prep, and Falco is apparently in a terrible mood about the whole situation. The vibe gets awkward because he refuses to leave her side. Gina and Leon are fed up, and even Gaius has seen enough of his clingy behavior. After all that, our boy is out here looking like a total mess and feeling like a pathetic hero. The morning of departure finally hits, but Falco is still busy sulking while Xiao keeps a secret smile on her face. Gaius keeps it real with the squad, warning everyone that a massive outbreak of black lizards is coming early this year. Falco is spiraling in his own head, convinced that Sho is ghosting him as payback for keeping his mouth shut. The entire town is getting hyped as they prepare to give it their all for the next 2 months of hunting. Our guy is a literal zombie being dragged to the carriage until Sho finally makes a last-second appearance. The realization hits like a truck when Leon reveals that Sho is actually joining the squad as a healer apprentice. The announcement rings out that 5 healers are officially joining the hunt, apprentices and all. Falco stares in disbelief as he catches Sho standing right there by the supply wagons. Our boy wastes no time and rushes over to see if he is dreaming. Xiao just hits him with a smug look and reminds him that she promised they would always stay together. Falco officially hits peak clingy mode and tackles her with a hug while shouting her name. Sho is already over the drama and begs for someone to come take this man away so she can actually get to work. Leon and Alfie can only offer some bitter smiles as they watch their resident broody hero do a total 180. The gloomy vibe is officially dead, replaced by the sheer awkwardness of Falco's public meltdown. This was not an ending, it was just the beginning of this year's Great Hunt. The Great Hunt kicks off with a nightmare commute through the craggy mountain paths. Xiao is already at her limit, complaining about her hips as the carriage continues its bumpy ride. Leon just gives her a pitying look, knowing it was only a matter of time before her spirit broke. Leon proves why he is the ultimate wingman by handing her a cushion he packed just for this occasion. Xiao is basically seeing him as a saint right now, as she accepts the seat saver. Falco is in the corner throwing a low-key fit because he did not think of the cushion first. He grumbles to himself about missing the chance to be the hero as the days on the road start blurring together. This expedition is no joke, requiring a 10-day trek just to reach the destination. They will spend a whole month clearing out monsters before heading out for another long stretch of travel. Their destination is Iwado, a mining powerhouse that controls the metals of the continent. Since the place is basically one giant rock, monsters are a constant headache for the locals all year round. The real problem is the summer outbreak of black lizards along the mountain borders. These things are obsessed with local grain crops and will swarm south if they are not stopped immediately. Xiao gets a crash course on the high stakes of the hunt. If monsters breach the agriculture plains, the entire food supply is cooked. Seinen makes it clear they are here to prevent a total wipeout. It is a massive operation with 20 hunters and 5 healers representing North Town. Xiao and Alfie are officially part of the medical support crew. Seinen manages the logistics for the 30-person crew. As they prep for a pit stop, he orders Sho and Alfie to stay back with the medical staff while the pros handle the clear. Pure hype. The 2 apprentices prep for their first real assignment as Alfie rallies Xiao to give it their all. Monsters charge, heavily armored beasts rush the group, while veteran hunters hold the line, ready to show these things why they are pros. A precise strike from Seinen cleaves right through an enemy shell. Falco checks on Leon mid-fight, but the blonde hunter just shrugs it off with a grin. Rotation time. Any injured fighters fall back for immediate healing while Sho and Alfie move up with the medical team to start their shift. Xiao watches the pros with wide eyes, asking Alfie if he has ever seen a hunt like this. Veteran hunters mention that bringing apprentices along is almost unheard of, making this a rare opportunity. The formation they are using is actually a tactic designed by Gaius. Knowing he created this setup makes his recent recovery even more impressive. The fan formation funnels monsters into a trap for an easy takedown. As the next wave approaches, the team prepares for Seinen to finally take his turn. A monster dashes forward, but Seinen doesn't even blink. He unsheathes his sword in a blur, delivering a clean slash that ends the fight instantly. After the quick win, Seinen points out that the right side of the beast was weak. He tells the crew to keep their focus on recovery while he handles the line. Alfie and Xiao are officially starstruck. They both stare with wide eyes, unable to believe how effortless their mentor looks. That display of power has Alfie vowing to go even harder on his sword training. Xiao just smiles as her friend makes his high-stakes promise. Sitting in the carriage is a total snooze fest, so the boys decide to take Leon's advice and just run for a bit. Anything is better than letting their legs fall asleep while they move. Shoko rushes over to her favorite grump with a huge grin to check for any battle scars. She is clearly hyped after watching him do his thing out there. She grabs his hand and gets to work, letting her healing magic do the talking. Watching the pros hunt for the first time has her feeling some type of way. The way Falco and the others handled that monster mob was on a whole different level. Everyone in this crew is low-key, built different. After a quick check, she realizes the dude is totally fine and doesn't have a single scratch. She lets out a relieved sigh, glad that her healing services aren't actually needed yet. Falco actually cracks a soft smile, which is a rare sight for this tough guy. He even teases her for staring at him with such a happy face. She knows she can't tell him how cool he actually looked, or his ego would hit the ceiling. Best to keep those thoughts locked away for now. Gordo's cooking is a total win for keeping morale high on the road. The crew even had a healer checking their physical condition, making sure everyone stayed in peak shape during the peaceful journey. They finally reached their destination, border town Nordum. The massive walls stood as a guardian of the region, signaling that the real mission was about to start. Despite the long trek, the hunters showed zero signs of exhaustion and arrived in the best possible condition. Since the town was already packed, the squad decided to set up camp right outside. It didn't take long for a loud shout to echo across the field as someone spotted Gaius in the crowd. A local hunter was absolutely hyped to see them, giving Gaius a loud welcome. He was stoked to hear that 20 pros from Northtown had officially arrived to join the hunt. Gaius brought a few extra hands this year, which was a smart move. Monster activity is through the roof this season, and they are going to need every bit of backup they can get. A quick look at the map shows that all the hunters are gravitating toward the lake. Something strange is definitely brewing in those waters, and the team needs to figure out what's up before things get out of hand. The local squad is struggling with a healer shortage, and things are looking grim. Gaius just brushes it off because he knows he brought the ultimate secret weapon along. Gaius gives the signal for Seinen to lead the charge. Xiao and Alfie are already locked in and ready to start their shift. Since the pro healers are about to be swamped, Xiao suggests the apprentices and pharmacists handle the potion duty to keep the flow going. Seinen is stuck on how to handle the sheer number of injuries expected in the first few days. Xiao steps up to offer a better way to manage the incoming patients. She breaks down the concept of sorting everyone by injury level, just like in a medical drama. It is Group A for the serious cases and Group B for the minor scratches. The strategy is to let the mentors handle the heavy lifting while the apprentices clear out the easy fixes with potions. Seinen sees the vision because this saves their magic for the real emergencies. He agrees to the plan and they start diving into the specifics. Strategy 1 is for the usual workload. If the numbers are normal, everyone just jumps in and heals as a team. Seinen moves to strategy 2 for high-volume situations. They are going with the sorting plan Show suggested to keep things efficient. Falco decides he is tagging along whether they like it or not. The lead hunter starts heading toward the church to show them where the patients are waiting. Seinen gives Falco a quick reality check to stop focusing entirely on Show. The kids are just standing there confused while our boy tries to play it cool. The doors swing open and the weight of the situation hits hard. The church is packed wall to wall with people waiting for help. Looking at the rows of coughing patients, it is clear that things are worse than they thought. Seinen makes the call to stick with the sorting plan immediately. A wave of whispers breaks out as the group walks inside. Everyone is buzzing about the Black Wolf arriving to save the day. Xiao is totally lost as the whispers start to pick up around the room. Seeing her confusion, Seinen shoots a quick look over his shoulder. The hype is real once she finally connects the dots. Thinking the Black Wolf nickname is Peak Cool, she can hardly contain her excitement. Seinen takes charge and announces their group to the crowd. He shuts down the hero worship instantly, reminding her that they have work to do. Seinen lays out the ground rules and orders the walking wounded to form a line. The apprentice squad is locked in and ready to take their turn. The team starts making their rounds and greeting the patients. Xiao keeps it professional while she offers to check on their injuries. Xiao locks in with an intense stare to get a reading on the situation. The men are naturally skeptical, grumbling about being handed off to a bunch of kids. The pressure builds as the official checkups begin. One patient sighs and puts his trust in them as the first magical scan gets moving. The first patient tries to act tough, claiming it's just a minor arm injury. He's ready to grab a potion and go, but Shou's not buying the act. She immediately calls him out for ignoring his back. He was so focused on his leg that he didn't even notice the real damage. Xiao sends him to the priest to finish the job and gets right back to work. There's a whole line waiting, and she's not wasting a second. Something's off with the next patient's trembling hands. The injury is gone, but Xiao realizes this guy is suffering from straight-up malnutrition. The lead hunter explains that this independent guy isn't part of their main crew. Xiao doesn't care about his status, she just wants to know if he's actually eating. The truth comes out as the guy describes the empty plates back at the inn. Food prices are skyrocketing, and if you aren't early, you're going hungry. Logistics are hitting a wall since the plane's shipments are late. Between the food shortage and the herb supply running dry, the team is in a tight spot. Xiao isn't pulling any punches, lecturing the guy that he needs to eat if he actually wants to do his job right. The dude can only nod along as she drops some hard truths about staying healthy on the front lines. She leans in with a secret invite, telling him to hit up the Northtown camp for a massive meat feast. The guy is hesitant, but meat is a luxury he definitely can't ignore right now. Seinen jumps in to seal the deal, reminding him that checking for hidden injuries is a daily requirement. Nobody wants to be the guy who collapses just because they were trying to be a hero. The priest tells him not to hesitate, even if it's the middle of the night, and to let his fellow hunters know the door is open. It's a huge relief for the guy, especially since his group is already struggling. To keep the momentum going, Xiao and Alfie are officially tagged in as part of the medical rotation. They're ready to handle whatever the night shift throws at them. With the first round done, the hunter gives a heartfelt thanks before the group finally admits they're exhausted. Potions are great, but sometimes a good night's sleep is the only real cure. Xiao is right back at it, letting her magic flow into the next patient to ease the pain. The hunter is instantly hit with a wave of warmth, finally finding a moment of peace. Xiao asks the obvious question about why healers are neglecting their own health. Turns out the town is running on a skeleton crew of part-timers, and it has always been this way. The hunters are physically broken. They admit that this year has been a complete disaster compared to previous hunts, and they just cannot keep up. Gale answers the call while Sign locks in. Our monk mentor is clearly cooking up a plan to save the camp from this mess. It is a full-blown logistics nightmare with zero food or herbs left. The team is realizing that things are not going to get better on their own at this rate. Gale is visibly shaken by the mounting pressure. He is officially out of ideas, and the silence in the room is loud. Scene is not having it and tells Gale to get it together. He starts barking orders to buy food from every neighboring town possible to fix the shortage. The plan shifts to herb gathering and mandated rest for the healers. Xiao watches the chaos and wonders if there's a faster way to find some familiar food for everyone. Shoko spots a mountain of lizard loot and asks Seinen the real question. Are they actually supposed to eat this stuff? She is clearly not ready for a monster meat diet. Seinen shuts that idea down fast, explaining that the lizard meat is just an emergency backup plan in case their main food shipments from the plains are delayed. He tells Gale this stash should be enough to keep the camp afloat, and the hunter leader is already thinking about how they can turn a profit from the leftovers. They decide to start dropping the meat off at the local inns, figuring it is better to move the stock now than deal with picky customers who do not buy enough later. Later, Shoko is absolutely shook by the size of the black lizard, and admits she cannot even imagine trying to hunt one of these monsters in the wild. Alfie tells her they just have to keep up with the pros. As they walk, she agrees that she has got to toughen up and get used to the intensity of camp life before things get even crazier. Alfie is genuinely impressed with how she is handling the pressure, calling her amazing, but Shoko just brushes off the compliment with a humble laugh. Alfie admits he's been low-key trying to copy Sho's healing style, even if it's a bit unconventional. The realization that her skills aren't exactly standard starts to sink in. Walking through the camp, Sho questions if her methods are actually that weird. Alfie reminds her that her unique style is exactly why she stands out. Alfie claims they are cut from the same cloth. It's a solid moment of mutual respect between the two apprentices. They lock in their promise to tackle the summer hunt as a duo. The teamwork is on point. Suddenly, a delicious smell hits them, giving off major home-cooked meal vibes. Back at the camp, Xiao starts her day in the middle of a literal hunter sandwich. Waking up between Leon and Falco is becoming the new normal for our girl. She tidies up and heads out early for her shift while the boys hide under the blankets. They are basically dying of cuteness while she is just focused on the grind. The summer hunt is officially underway, and it is actually going pretty smooth thanks to Northtown. Xiao gears up for work while reflecting on the progress of the mission. Most of the hunters are basically zombies from pure exhaustion. Out of 200 men, only a small handful of elite warriors are still holding it together. Having the legendary 3 heroes on the field changes the whole vibe. Their presence is the main reason the mission is not turning into a disaster. Northtown is leading the charge and the teamwork is on point. They are steadily clearing out the lizard infestation and bringing back the goods. Apprentice life is also moving fast as Alfie steps up to the plate. Since he is 15 now, he has officially graduated to being a formal healer in training. Years ago, since Xiao was only 11 and could not join the big hunt, she had to stay behind in town. She was planning to just help out and have a relaxing time while the others were away. The peace and quiet did not last long because a group of kids was already panicking over a single slime. They were huddling around her and screaming about missing herbs and their imminent doom. Her plan for a productive foraging session turned into a total disaster. It turns out none of the town children knew the first thing about finding herbs or dealing with low-level monsters. Comparing these rookies to her usual squad was like night and day. While Alfie and the others were aggressive hunters, these kids were struggling to land a single hit. She eventually took charge and promised to keep everyone safe from the bouncy blue pests. The girls were visibly relieved while the boys got hyped up and started swinging their sticks. After selling the slime stones and turning in the herbs, she heads toward the church where everyone usually meets up. She manages to get her dinner out of the way before the hunters even make it back. Back in the present, she joins up with Alfie to check on the wounded and see how the recovery is going. Alfie is impressed by her work and starts thinking about what her future will look like once she finally grows up. Leon is already planning a group vacation since Sho is going to be a top-tier healer. Falco immediately shuts him down and says they do not even need him anymore. Leon loses it and demands to know why since he was right there when they first found her. Falco keeps a straight face and claims that never actually happened. The bickering reaches a boiling point as they both refuse to back down. A loud crash cuts through the noise as their superior finally loses his patience with their constant fighting. A voice of reason tells the guys to stop talking nonsense before they actually hurt her feelings. Xiao just watches them with a look of pure distrust while they decide her annoyed face is actually adorable. The vibe suddenly shifts as someone brings up Leon potentially returning to his old party. He goes quiet as he processes the mention of his former life. Leon admits he spent decades working with his last group back when everyone actually called him a hero. He remembers the days of gathering strong allies and fighting at the peak of his career. Those glory days came to a sudden halt after a serious injury changed everything. He stands alone by the fire and thinks about the moment his life as a top-tier adventurer finally ended. Leon admits his ego wouldn't let him drop to a support role, even if he was a burden. He even swore his party to silence just to keep the hero image alive. The real kicker was his pride in his relationship. Relying on his lover while they were in the same party was a non-starter for him. Falco mentions Leon's ex being single after the split, which sends him into a panic. Turns out the legendary hero's love life was public knowledge back in the day. Leon remembers his breakup being way too calm, assuming his girl just wasn't that into him. Falco doesn't hold back and says it was actually the other way around. Falco confesses he has never done the whole serious relationship thing. He prefers the casual route, where no one gets clingy. He doubles down on the toxic behavior by claiming he is actually repaying these women with his presence. He really thinks he is doing them a favor. Then he drops the ultimate hypothetical. He asks Leon to imagine Xiao dating a guy exactly like him and getting tossed aside. Falco is losing his mind at the thought of other guys even breathing near her. Leon cannot help but laugh because he knows his friend is completely whipped. Everything changed the moment she entered their lives. Leon points out it is not just about the healed leg anymore. He actually enjoys the vibe of living with Sho while she stays totally clueless about the world. A flashback shows Falco was left all alone in Northtown at 15. He never had a mother or a group to look after him. He just drifted around the streets, never really feeling like he belonged in the community. Even in a cozy place like this, he always felt like an outsider. That was the only reality he knew. But Xiao easily blended into the town and naturally pulled him in with her. Before he knew it, he was finally becoming part of the world he once felt like a stranger to. Falco gets real about his past, admitting that people used to look at him with pure anxiety instead of respect. He feels like a total amateur when it comes to being a foster parent to Xiao, but helping the community and learning from her has completely flipped his worldview. It is a whole mood seeing the local kids get inspired to pick up the sword just by watching them. He laughs, noting that in all his 50 years of life, this is the first time he has actually socialized with so many people. Leon is on the same wavelength, deciding he would rather hunt as a new man than go back to his old squad. The duo gets nostalgic about how far they have come, and Falco even drops some tea about a girl named Bianca. Brushing the romance aside, Leon wonders if Xiao will eventually leave the old squad behind to find friends her own age. Leon jokes that Gaius being 100 years old makes him a safe bet, but Falco is still on high alert. He claims that only the strongest guys in Northtown should even be allowed near her. Leon cracks up after realizing he apparently passed Falco's elite protection test. Meanwhile, Falco is still distracted by how beautiful Xiao looked during the festival. The vibe turns competitive when Leon wonders how stunning she will be in 10 years. Falco snaps immediately, yelling that he is revoking the pass and failing Leon on the spot. The bickering does not stop as Falco shouts that a 100-year age gap is a deal-breaker. Leon just keeps it casual, reminding him that Sho is the one who actually gets to decide. Leon wears a smug grin while he continues to mess with his friend. He knows Gaius is not a romantic threat, but seeing Falco this worked up is pure entertainment. He laughs, telling Falco that he is just as funny as Sho herself. This chaotic friendship is the main reason he never wants to leave Northtown behind. The night settles into a quiet walk home as Sho falls asleep on Falco's back. Alfie confirms he can keep up while they talk about how hard Sho worked at the camp today. Falco agrees it is time to head back so his passenger can get some actual sleep. The walk home gets interrupted when they run into Bianca and the rest of Leon's old squad. Not wanting to deal with the drama, Falco keeps moving and leaves Leon behind to handle the awkward reunion. Bianca puts Leon on the spot by asking if he even remembers his lovers from last year. He takes a wild guess and fails miserably. Xiao wakes up to the sound of Bianca demanding a conversation about the future. It seems some old promises are finally coming back to haunt them. Hearing the word promise makes Sho feel a bit uneasy. She is still mostly out of it, but she instinctively clings tighter to Falco's cloak. Falco drops the ultimate rejection by telling Bianca he is busy until Sho is an adult. He tells her to find someone else and officially ends the conversation. Leon drops the hammer, telling Bianca he is not joining her party because he is done with the past. She is fuming, calling them the worst before storming off, while Falco just stays focused on keeping our sleeping MC safe from the drama. Alfie is not having it, lecturing them about how they are supposed to be professionals who do not let people get hurt. He points out that Sho is exhausted from carrying the team, leaving Bianca looking humbled. Agreement comes from Leon, who tells Bianca to save that energy for the hunt instead of starting beef. Alfie doubles down, reminding them that getting hurt is a waste of everyone's time. The split is official as Leon confirms he is moving on to form a new squad. He tells his old team they should probably do the same and start fresh. As the old crew fades into the distance, Alfie thanks Falco for the backup. Our boy does not even try to be nice, saying he only stepped in for show's sake, not theirs. The suggestion that Show wanted them to be kinder comes from Leon, but Falco is too busy checking on his passenger. He gives her a gentle head pat, noting she was awake for a second before drifting back off. It is time to head home, and Leon is more than ready for a bed. Falco does not mind the extra weight, promising that he will be wherever Show goes. Leon pulls up to check on the MC, only to find Falco busy inhaling his food. He explains that she headed into town with Alfie to spend her reward money from the apprenticeship. The goal is to grab souvenirs for the kids back in Northtown since the hunt is wrapping up soon. Our duo locks in with an intense stare as they prepare to hunt down the perfect gifts. Dropping into the market, Show spots a stunning hair ornament that stops her in her tracks. It seems she finally found exactly what she was looking for. It is a beautiful head accessory with a vibrant green stone that matches their friend perfectly. Alfie is on the exact same wavelength and admits he was eyeing the same piece. This gift is definitely for Aura, and Show wastes no time teasing Alfie about his special delivery. They are both in high spirits while bonding over picking out something for their bestie. Xiao even tries to claim that Kane is his romantic rival for Aura, but Alfie is not having any of it. She decides to grab a red version of the accessory too, just because she thinks it would look fire. The shopkeeper has been watching them and is deeply impressed by how selfless our girl is being. He insists she pick out a free hair ornament for herself as a reward for her hard work as a healer during the hunt. Xiao is stuck in her own head trying to pick the perfect souvenirs for the kids. The shopkeeper calls her out on it, noting how much thought she is putting into every single choice. Our girl is stunned by the shopkeeper's intuition. She admits his merchant eye is on a different level, but turns down the extra gift for now. Just as Show decides to wait for Falco's input, the man himself shows up. He doesn't waste any time and immediately demands the shopkeeper's attention. Falco points to the display and tells the man to wrap up the entire stock. Alfie is losing it in the background while Show is just wondering why he is being so extra. This dude is not backing down, claiming that since Show is cute, every single piece in the store would look good on her. He is ready to buy out the entire inventory just to be safe. Xiao looks at the massive selection and shuts down the spending spree. She wants something she can wear every day and cherish, not a mountain of silver. She asks Falco to pick out the one he thinks is her best match. Our boy takes the mission to heart, locking in to find the perfect ornament for her. Falco looks over the shelf until a certain piece catches his eye. He picks up a floral ornament and asks for her opinion. Xiao loves it, pointing out the beautiful indigo stone. She thinks the color matches the sky from the night of the Star Festival. Falco gives her a soft look, clearly happy she likes the pick. Xiao asks if he will buy it as a reward for her hard work. He agrees instantly, but the shopping spree is far from over. Our boy starts listing a whole matching outfit and a new belt like he is her personal stylist. Xiao shuts it down with a single sentence because she is not about that life. He even offers to buy her a new sword, but she is definitely good on that too. The summer hunt finally wraps up as July fades into the distance. Back on the road, Alfie lets her know about the upcoming Moon Festival while they make their way home. By the time they reach Northtown, it is already September. Xiao wears her new souvenir with a smile, wishing they can all attend the next festival together. She is already counting down the days until she sees the crew again. Someone calls out to Aura from the tree line. She stops and turns back toward the voice. Ready to move to the next spot, Aura hears Show tell her to lead the way. Our girl stays motivated while hauling her heavy bag of loot across the field. Deep in the woods, a rustle in the grass stops everything. Two slimes suddenly jump out of the brush and catch Aura off guard. Paralyzed as the slime makes its move, she lets out a gasp and drops her bag. She tumbles to the ground as she loses her footing. Hiding under a mountain of blankets, Aura tells everyone to beat it because she can't handle the happy vibes. She tells them not to come back anymore. Our girl isn't backing down and fires right back. She refuses to leave her friend behind despite the yelling. The back and forth gets intense as Show stands her ground against the screams from the bed. A heavy silence finally fills the room. Gripping the blanket tight, Xiao calls out the stupidity of the whole situation. Aura keeps squirming and insists that they can't be together because she can never step foot outside again. Memories of Japan start flooding back to a time when Xiao was just a kid. Back then, a missing student would just get a letter from the class representative. Even if they were basically strangers, it was just the standard routine. Being in this world without a family is hard, but she refuses to be indifferent like she was in her past life. Every person she has met, from Falco and Leon to the townsfolk, is precious to her. She looks back at the girl who changed everything for her. Aura was the first friend she ever made in this new life, so there is no way she is leaving her side. Even if she can never go out to play again, she is staying right here. Alfie stands in the doorway, his voice trembling as he joins the plea. He tells Aura that they just want to be with her, even if she stays silent, and begs her not to shut them out. Under the blankets, Aura lets out a soft rustle and speaks the truth she has discovered by touch. She knows she has lost her hair, and that a mirror would only show a stranger. Aura cries out that she is rough and ugly now, and that the person they knew is gone. Alfie finally loses it and shouts that none of that matters to him. Tears stream down his face as he screams that he likes every version of her. Whether she is happy, angry, or silent, his feelings have not changed one bit. Xiao promises to stay right by her side as Aura finally lets the blanket fall, allowing the sunlight to reveal her scarred face for the first time. Tears stream down her face as she asks if they can really accept her looking like a total stranger, but Xiao doesn't even hesitate before pulling her into a tight hug. The weight of the last 10 days finally comes crashing down, and Aura can't help but sob as she clings to the friend who refused to give up on her. Alfie jumps in to remind her that she has always been the bravest person he knows, telling her straight up that she is still the same Aura on the inside. Those words hit deep, helping her realize that her bond with them was never about how she looked. The heavy atmosphere finally starts to lift as she begins to believe them. She lets out a soft sigh and admits that whenever she closes her eyes, she can still see the happy faces of everyone she loves. Her memories are the only thing keeping her going right now. Back then, life was simple, but now every memory of picking herbs in the meadows is stained with the crushing regret of ever going there that afternoon. Aura admits that her own face is the only thing she cannot remember anymore. Seeing her friends' faces every day only reminds her that she cannot see herself. It is crushing because she just wants to hold on to that memory in her heart. Alfie immediately speaks up, telling her that he remembers exactly how she looks. He spent the whole time buying souvenirs thinking about her, and Shou is right there with him. Xiao asks if she can try her hand at some healing magic too. Aura agrees, so Xiao reaches out and takes her hands to start the process. As the magic flows, Shou realizes that Aura's sole memory of her own face is definitely a bit blurry. However, it has not turned into a permanent shadow yet, which means there is still hope. Xiao calls out to Alfie with some major news. Aura's soul memory is still there, and it has not disappeared like they feared. Usually, if the soul memory is gone, it is game over for healing. But if it is just a bit blurry, they might actually be able to restore it by focusing on her original shape. Aura starts to doubt herself, but Shou quickly shuts that down. They promise to hold on to her image until she is ready to see it herself. She looks up at them with a tiny spark of hope in her eyes. She finally works up the courage to ask what she really looked like to them. They start describing her old self, from her soft golden hair that practically glowed to her perfectly shaped eyebrows. It is like they are bringing the old Aura back to life with just their words. They even mention her favorite green hair ornament. The stone was a perfect match for her clear eyes. Those eyes were something special, with long golden lashes that turned transparent in the light. It made her gaze look like nothing else in the world. They even point out the tiny moles under her left eye and on her rosy cheeks. The mood finally lightens up as they tease her about having a few too many beauty marks. Slowly but surely, the blurry image in her mind starts to sharpen. She is finally starting to remember the girl she used to see in the mirror. Aura's mental image finally snaps back into place. She realizes this was exactly how she used to look every single day. Xiao knows that a girl as stylish as Aura must have spent every morning checking her reflection just to get ready. It wasn't that Aura forgot her own face, she just didn't want to see it anymore. Xiao tells her to keep holding onto that memory anyway. Every happy and cheeky version of Aura starts flooding back. They focus on every single detail until the image is perfect. Together, our girl Shou and Alfie work to anchor these memories deep into Aura's soul. The warmth of the magic washes over her, and she can finally feel their support. It feels better than she ever imagined. Their grip finally slips as the last of their energy fades. Shou and Alfie hit the ground, completely wiped out from the effort. Silence fills the room while Aura panics. Every second counts as she searches for a way out of this nightmare, grip tightening on her dress. She wants to call for help, but the fear of someone seeing her face keeps her mouth shut. A single step forward signals a change in heart. Forget the scars. Her friends are the priority now. Doors fly open as she bursts into the hallway with a scream. Vanity is dead, and saving her squad is the only thing on her mind. Leon and Seinen are stunned by her sudden appearance. She barely stops to breathe before yelling about the emergency in her room, leading the charge back to the scene. Seinen is right on her heels, demanding to know what exactly went wrong. Breathless and terrified, she explains that the duo collapsed the second they finished their treatment. Seinen lets out a breath of relief after checking on the duo. They aren't dead, just completely drained of magic after that massive effort. Turning his attention to the girl on the bed, he gently nudges her. It is finally time for Aura to show everyone the result of the miracle. The moment of truth hits, and even Seinen is caught off guard. The scars are gone, leaving Aura's face perfectly restored. Aura can barely process the reflection staring back at her. She realized exactly how much Sho and Alfie gave up to make this happen. While the two heroes are fast asleep on the floor, Aura finally collapses into her mother's arms. The long nightmare of her isolation is officially over. Tears of pure joy stream down her face as she smiles for the first time in forever. She whispers a heartfelt prayer of thanks to the goddess for this second chance. Sane watches over the sleeping duo as the dust finally settles. He remembers what Falco mentioned about Sho's unique sleeping habits, while Yona wonders why he's lingering at the door, fast asleep and snoring like a tiny engine. It turns out Falco was telling the truth about those puff sounds she makes while she is out cold. Peace finally returns to the household. Even in deep sleep, Xiao manages to keep working her magic on everyone around her. The squad is absolutely laying into the boys for spilling Sho's sleep secrets. They're especially disappointed in Sensi for joining in on the gossip. Xiao gives them the cold shoulder with a massive pout. Falco tries to explain himself, but she's already turned away in total shock. Falco is panicking and tries to apologize by claiming she was just too cute to keep quiet about. He clearly didn't expect the rumor of her snoring to go viral across the whole town. One of the girls gets right in Falco's face to check his logic. She reminds him that calling her cute doesn't just make the embarrassment disappear. The boys start pointing fingers at everyone else to save their own skin. The girls aren't buying the excuses and hit them with a high-level judgmental stare. Sick of the back and forth, the girls decide they've had enough. They walk away while complaining about how adults always try to dodge responsibility. The boys are left in a state of total depression on the bench. A familiar face approaches as Aura finally steps out into the light. Aura notices Falco looking absolutely stressed. He gets called a fool for not being able to keep a secret, since now everyone knows about the cute side of our MC. Aura cannot stop laughing at him. She points out that thanks to his big mouth, the entire town is now in on the secret. Reality hits him hard. He really wanted to keep that side of her all to himself, but he went and ruined the exclusivity. Watching her sleep makes him tremble with even more regret. He just could not help himself because she was way too adorable to keep quiet about. The girls are officially done with them. Both Falco and Seinen are left begging for another chance, promising to keep their mouths shut if they can just stay in the loop. Just two grown men standing in complete defeat. They have been thoroughly roasted by the girls and left with nothing but heavy sighs. Falco tries to pivot to the new house he found for them. He wanted it to be a big moment, but the mood is already in the trash. Gina notes they have been at the inn long enough. Falco decides it is finally time for the squad to get their own place. Guilt is still weighing heavy on his mind. He is not even sure she will talk to him, but the crew tells him to shoot his shot and ask for forgiveness. Elsewhere, the town remains oblivious to the miracle. Since she stayed hidden for so long, everyone just assumes she finally got over the mental shock of the accident. Seinen finds the lack of news surprising. Falco asks why the town is not losing their minds over Aura's face being restored. Seinen points out the danger of the truth. If the world knew Shou could heal the unhealable, every shady group in the land would be trying to kidnap her for her powers. He asks what made this case so different. Seinen explains that Shou and Alfie are not just talented, they are top-tier magical prodigies. 2 months of hunting as a duo made them work in sync. That deep bond and their sharp memory of Aura's face allowed them to perform a genuine miracle. Seinen gets technical, explaining that even a group of masters usually fails without a deep personal bond. He is not even sure he has the magical reserves for that kind of miracle. Reflecting on the past moment, he admits her unique reversal healing is impossible to replicate. It was a pure miracle. Seinen offers a rare smile of relief. He is just grateful she ended up with them. Back at the inn, Falco tries to creep inside. Xiao catches him and offers a bright welcome. He tentatively asks if she is still mad. Xiao confirms the whole squad is officially annoyed with him. Pivoting to a new topic, he mentions finding a great house. He just wants her to hear him out. The promise of a hot spring seals the deal. Xiao is suddenly all ears and ready for a tour. Falco gives her a soft look, promising to hit the road tomorrow. The new house looks like a major glow-up. Xiao is losing it over the new crib. It has a spacious living room, a full kitchen, and even its own hot spring for baths. The second floor is just as stacked with guest rooms and adjoining suites. Our girl is already picking out her favorite spot. This property is honestly the dream, plus being only 10 minutes away from Gina's inn is a win. She worries the place might be too big for them. Leon points out the old hut actually had more rooms and promises to help with the chores. Leon casually mentions he is moving in too, since he and Falco are officially a squad now. He is calling dibs on the first floor. Falco explains that staying together is the best way to keep her protected. Since it is Leon, she is cool with the new roommate situation. Our girl is claiming her territory on the second floor, while Falco makes sure their rooms are connected. He basically tells Leon he can just stay out of sight, and Leon is not loving the disrespect. Xiao stays cold and admits she does not really care what Leon does, which is a heavy hit to his feelings. Her mind is already elsewhere, focusing on her new life in the house. Life in town is great, but she still has a soft spot for those quiet days alone with Falco in the forest. Things are going to be different now that their duo has officially become a trio. Even with the boys constantly bickering in the background, Xiao keeps her head up. She is ready for whatever fun life has in store for them. Their new life officially kicks off during a short autumn season. To make sure the house does not turn into a disaster zone, the squad starts setting some ground rules. Xiao takes over the kitchen to handle breakfast before everyone splits for the day. The plan is to link back up at Gina's Inn for a family gathering every night. Since cooking dinner is such a chore, the crew decides to just eat at the inn and head home later. It is the perfect plan to keep everyone fed without any extra work. Housework is a team effort now, but our girl is not about to break her back cleaning that huge place alone. She is definitely calling in reinforcements when things get too messy. Leon is basically the town social butterfly, always bringing guests over to the new pad. Falco is already playing bodyguard though, making sure only show-approved friends get past the front door. Watching from the sidelines, she finally gets a feel for the kind of chaotic energy Leon brings to the table. This house is definitely never going to be quiet again. The next morning, she is already hard at work in the kitchen while Leon struggles to crawl out of bed. The domestic vibes are officially in full swing. Leon is impressed by her early bird routine, but his eyes really light up when he hears soup is on the menu. He is not even trying to hide his excitement for a home-cooked breakfast. That soup looks like a 5-star meal, and he admits he has been thinking about it since the night before. She thinks he is just being extra, but the man is dead serious about his breakfast. For a guy who spent years living out of random inns, having a warm meal in a real home hits different. He is honestly shocked by how much a simple breakfast can change the whole vibe. Thinking back on his old lifestyle, Leon explains that he used to just drift from inn to inn while guiding the guild through the northern forest. Since he was always on the move, he never really cared about having a real home or decent food. Falco can hardly believe it, calling the whole vibe unexpected. Meanwhile, Leon just laughs it off while Sho starts to wonder if things were really as simple as he remembers. Their routine is totally different now, spending their nights catching up before bed or heading out for a drink. Leon spills the tea on how Falco spends his time obsessing over which gifts Sho would actually like. Our blonde boy is glowing, admitting that living with this duo is the most excitement he has had in years. Xiao is right there with him, flashing a big smile and confirming she is having a blast too. Falco finally drags himself out of bed looking like a zombie. Leon spots him stumbling in and realizes the whole squad is finally awake. Leon teases him for being lured out by the smell of breakfast. Though he admits the soup got him too, he offers a bowl to the sleepy swordsman to help him snap out of it. The squad is mapping out their day while they finish up breakfast. Since Sho has guild business to handle, they decide to move their practice session to the evening. Leon hands over a bowl, telling him it is his portion. Falco treats the meal like a rare treasure, stunned into silence by the simple gesture. Leon is absolutely losing it, laughing at how predictable his bro has become. Meanwhile, Sho is just vibing with the cozy family energy in the room. Falco does not even try to hide it and just gives them the truth. He admits that Sho's cooking is simply in a league of its own. He starts breaking down the flavor of the soup, loving how the taste changes every day. It is the kind of variety that keeps the whole group coming back for more. The eggs are another story entirely. Whether it is a fluffy omelet or a savory rolled dish, she hits a home run with every version. He even geeks out over the way she spices up a fried egg with tomatoes and vegetables. The guy has officially become her biggest fan and personal food critic. Falco is out here losing it over the soup, claiming the way the egg yolks break is a religious experience. The guy is officially a fanboy. Leon doesn't stop there, bringing up the variety of jams she makes from local fruit. He can't get over how she just casually finds these ingredients while out on herb runs. Xiao finally snaps and tells them to pipe down before she dies of embarrassment. The guys are left stunned as she orders them to just eat their meal in silence. Later, the focus shifts to the Northtown Guild as they head in for some business. The grand building stands tall in the center of the town. Inside, the conversation turns toward the upcoming winter missions. There are 4 specific hunters registered to handle the guardian duties in the Northern Forest this year. Alice flashes a smile as she reads off the names of the selected members. The lineup includes Falco and Leon, alongside 2 others named Jean and Vival. Xiao thanks her for the info, relieved to hear the team is bigger this time around. She remembers that last year, Falco was the only one carrying the entire weight of the job. Alice explains that while 4 names are usually on the list, a monster surge at the lake last year forced some of the crew to pivot. Apparently, Jean and Vival had to rush out to help a female hunter who requested the assist. The receptionist asks what brings them in, prompting Xiao to ask for more details on those 4 hunters. Back at home, our boy Falco is staring at a document like his brain just short-circuited. A quick look at the paper reveals an official employment contract for our girl. It basically says she is joining the Northern Forest Guardians to handle all the cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Our boy can barely find his words as he asks if she really went and did this herself. Sho casually admits she hit up the guildmaster for a job since she was going to be taking care of him anyway. Leon is genuinely impressed as she adds that she will also be gathering herbs and hunting slimes for magic stones on the side. This girl is really out here trying to do everything at once. She explains that she convinced the guild she is essential for keeping the team fed and healthy. In her eyes, being by his side as an apprentice healer is just common sense. Falco worries that taking on all that work is going to be way too hard on her. Xiao just laughs it off, claiming it is all fun and games since she gets paid for it too. Falco looks like his brain just short-circuited as he asks if she is really tagging along. Xiao just gives him a confident yes. The truth hits like a truck, and Falco can only let out a pained groan as the verbal bullseye lands perfectly. Xiao watches him in silence. She knows she only has 9 years left until she is an adult, and she wants to spend every second of it with him. If she doesn't stick close, she is afraid this dude might just up and leave. A gentle hand reaches out to her. He keeps telling himself that all of this is just for her sake. All she wants is someone who will look out for her until she can finally stand on her own 2 feet. She realizes his special treatment isn't some divine manipulation. It is coming straight from the heart. Looking back at everything they have been through, she knows leaving is the hardest part. Turns out our boy is the one who really can't stand being alone. 2 weeks have already flown by. Our girl is just about ready to head out for the Northern Forest expedition. The town is finally chilling now that things are going smooth this year, but right on cue, someone shows up to shake things up. One heavy step is all the warning we get. Meet Lyra. With an intense gaze like that, you already know she means business. Xiao is putting in work in the kitchen, juggling a stack of plates while her coworker stays on her about filling the bread basket. Gina is low-key stressing about the incoming carriages, but Sho is ready to carry the whole shift until the boys get back. The door opens and Gina's customer service greeting gets cut short by a massive vibe shift. Enter Lyra, the absolute mood killer who clicks her tongue at Gina and makes Xiao double take at the blatant disrespect. Gina is not playing around today and immediately calls out Lyra for showing up when the forest guardian spots are already filled. Lyra drops her things with a heavy thud and tries to play it off like she is just a traveler looking for a room for 2. Since she is technically a customer, Gina has to reluctantly check her in, leaving Xiao stuck wondering what the real tea is with this Lyra person. Everything finally clicks for Xiao. This isn't just any traveler, she's looking at Falco's mother. There's no mistaking that intense vibe and side profile. She feels like a warrior goddess and is the direct opposite of Gina's friendly personality. Xiao tries to stop obsessing over age since only Sign can really tell anyway. A small note reveals Lyra is 50 as our girl forces an awkward laugh. A heavy step signals a change in the conversation. Lyra confirms she has a companion who's been waiting for her this whole time. Behind Lyra stands a giant man draped in a dark cloak. Xiao is stunned by his height as he towers over everyone else in the room. The guy has green hair and purple eyes to match his dark robes. It's a reminder for Xiao that she's definitely in a fantasy world now. Gina leans in to whisper that he's a lake person who rarely leaves their territory. Xiao is left wondering exactly what that means. A map highlights the land of knowledge and magic far to the east. It looks like the world is much bigger than she originally thought. Our girl starts thinking back to the other survivors from her past life. She remembers the woman who asked the goddess for magical power and wonders if she ever made it to this world. A shadow looms over her as the tall man in black robes leans in. Xiao realizes for a second she almost mistook him for Haru, but a closer look proves they are totally different people. Looking at his side profile only makes the differences more obvious. Haru definitely had much straighter hair than this man. Gina is being incredibly rude as she grills the man about his origins. Our girl watches the drama unfold while thinking about how much more mature Haru seemed. The man finally speaks up and introduces himself as Dread. He keeps things formal and reveals that he is actually a magician. The name Dread sends a shockwave through the room. Gale nearly jumps out of his skin as he realizes this man from the lake is actually the disaster magician. Lyra really just hit him with the dread or whatever vibe, unfazed by his reputation. She notes he is a local celebrity, but it clearly does not matter to her. She gets straight to the point and asks the one question on everyone's mind: who exactly is this Haru? Turns out she has been keeping an eye on things because the girl's resemblance to Sho is just too close to ignore. She is desperate for any scrap of info she can get. Dread finally opens up and drops the lore about a black-haired girl he found by the lake. Xiao watches closely as the magician reveals his secret. He explains how he shipped her off to the Magic Academy because her mana levels were insane, leaving our girl stunned. It happened just last winter, making the timing way too suspicious. The pieces finally start clicking, and she realizes this girl is a fellow reincarnator from her past life. They were both sent here by the goddess at the exact same time. Gina snaps her back to reality before the spiral gets too deep. Our MC just tries to play it cool and offers a quick thank you. Xiao looks up at the big guy in black, desperate for news. She wants to know exactly how that other girl is holding up. Lyra notices they have the same hair color and wonders if they are related. Xiao shakes her head, pointing out that Haru always claimed to be completely alone in this world. Dredd explains they are likely from the same place, even if they never met. He notes that the girl is finally surrounded by people who care and is busy studying local magic. Hearing that the other girl is safe and happy brings a huge wave of relief. Our girl lets out a long sigh, glad that everything turned out okay for her fellow traveler. Looking back, she realizes she never even knew the girl's name until this moment. She wonders if Haru will really be able to master magic and achieve her goal of protecting people. The scene shifts as Gina hands over a key and reminds them about dinner. Lyra takes it with a smirk, keeping things casual. The front door swings open and the house gets loud again. Xiao lights up as Falco and Leon finally return from their preparations. Lyra catches Falco off guard with a casual greeting. Our boy can only stare back in shock as the truth comes out. This woman is actually his mother. She clearly doesn't want the mom title and reminds him to just call her Lyra. The tension in the room is thick as they face off. Introductions go around as the giant in black is revealed to be Dredd. Falco introduces himself and Leon, trying to keep things professional despite the awkward vibe. Leon is absolutely living for this drama and leans in to whisper about how wild the situation is. Our MC isn't sharing the enthusiasm and just wants the floor to swallow her whole. Falco cuts straight to the point and asks why she even showed up. Lyra just smirks and wonders if it is so hard to believe she just wanted to see her son. He isn't buying the motherly affection act for a second. His expression is cold as he admits he didn't expect that at all. Gina isn't letting Lyra off the hook and calls out her hypocrisy. She points out that Lyra seemed just as surprised to see him earlier. Lyra keeps it casual, claiming she just stopped by during her travels. Our boy doesn't even want to make eye contact with her. Gina is stunned by the audacity, but Lyra just ignores the heat. She asked for dinner like she didn't just drop a bombshell on everyone. With a heavy sigh, Gina finally gives in to the demand. Lyra just walks past her son, saying she is already used to this kind of treatment. She suggests they all grab a meal together since it has been a while. Dredd is chill about the whole thing and offers to move to another table if he is in the way. Lyra insists that she is the one who does not mind the awkwardness. She looks right at Falco and asks if he is going to be the one to make it a problem. Our boy finally turns around with a look of total defeat. Leon and Xiao try to fix the vibe by saying they would love to have her join them at the table. Xiao tries to process the weird family tension. She heard that kids and parents drift apart in this world, but Gina's reaction makes it feel like something much deeper is going on. Our MC decides that staying out of family drama is the ultimate survival move. Better to just mind her own business. Time for a tactical pivot to the food. Everyone starts inhaling their black lizard stew in a silence so thick you could cut it with a knife. Falco and the MC keep their heads down while the tension at the table just keeps building. Thankfully, Leon is a social pro and keeps the vibes from flatlining. Shoko is just grateful someone is talking so she does not have to. Leon breaks the silence by asking Dredd about his reputation. He wants to know if he is the famous magician of explosive flames. Apparently some magicians have multiple titles, and Leon brings up the rumors of a green-haired powerhouse. Shoko is losing it because she just heard him called the disaster magician a second ago. Dredd just gives a chill smirk. He casually admits that those rumors might actually be about him. The conversation shifts to the country of Lake. It is a monster-infested place where magicians usually have their hands too full to ever leave. Dredd explains that he prefers hunting unique monsters in distant lands rather than dealing with the same creatures over and over. Many people never even bother leaving their home turf, but he would rather face the challenges of the deep forest. Magicians in Lake are usually obsessed with being the strongest, so Dredd admits his desire to explore the outside world is actually pretty unusual. The place has a reputation for being closed off from the rest of society. About a year ago, right as he was looking for a way out, he met Lyra. They hit it off immediately and decided to start traveling together as a team. Dredd casually drops a bomb by asking if the two of them are actually lovers. Shoko completely loses it and sprays her drink, panicking that he would ask something so bold right in front of Falco. Lyra gives a calm smirk and confirms it. That is right. The table falls into an awkward silence as the realization sinks in. Shoko just tries to focus on her black lizard stew, which is surprisingly delicious despite the heavy atmosphere. Lyra hits Sho with a legendary side-eye before pointing her out to Falco. Our girl is caught in 4K and has zero idea how to handle the sudden spotlight. She can only stand there in shock as Lyra asks who the little kid is. Falco steps in with the dad energy to chill her out. He casually tells Lyra that she is his foster child, like it is no big deal. Lyra is not buying it and wonders why a guy with 0 biological kids is already out here adopting. She is basically calling him out for moving too fast with the family lifestyle. Leon jumps in to check if the new house is actually a thing. Falco admits he only managed to pull it off because everyone has been carrying him. Lyra decides she is part of the squad now and asks to move in tomorrow. Falco is absolutely flabbergasted by the audacity of this woman. Xiao is already sensing the bad vibes and decides Lyra is officially annoying. The lady starts calling Falco her son and asking if the boys are dating, claiming it is bad for the kids' education. Lyra keeps the confidence high as she promises to handle her own business. Falco is left without a comeback while Sho watches the whole thing go down with a very suspicious look. A dream begins with a young boy desperately chasing after a distant figure. He calls out for them to wait as they fade away into a hazy light. The memory snaps back to a sharp command. Lyra makes it clear that she is not a mother and demands to be called only by her name. Back in the real world, our boy is having a rough start to his morning. He lets out a groan while tossing and turning under his blankets. Waking up is a struggle as he stares blankly at the ceiling. The sheets are gripped tight while the weight of his family drama sets in. Down in the kitchen, Gina is already at her limit. She shouts that Lyra is basically a plague on poor Falco. Leon tries to laugh it off as a normal parent and child situation. Gina is not having it, and vents about Lyra moving into the house and crashing the hunt. The news about Dredd wanting to tag along only makes the headache worse. This entire mess has Gina absolutely pissed. Gina is absolutely losing it, shouting that the whole situation is backwards. Shoko can only try to survive the blast radius of the landlady's fury. The lecture doesn't stop as Gina demands Lyra act like a real parent for once. Shoko notes that this anger has been simmering since yesterday. The peace of North Town was officially over the moment Falco's mother made her sudden appearance. Meeting new people usually isn't a problem, but this encounter feels different. Shoko realizes she genuinely doesn't like Lyra. It's more than just a bad vibe. Lyra doesn't even acknowledge her as an individual, seeing only a random child in her way. Being treated as invisible is a heavy blow. It leaves an uncomfortable sensation that's hard to shake off. Lyra is a local celebrity, a beautiful and elite hunter with fans all over the town. But despite the fame and the greetings, a massive however looms over her. Shoko picks up on Falco's weird energy. He has been acting like a silent shadow ever since his mother crashed the party. Gina is officially at her limit. She lets it slip that the elite hunter basically abandoned her 15-year-old son without a single cent to his name. The news hits Shoko like a truck. She finds it hard to believe he was dead broke when even the literal toddlers in town have guild accounts for slime hunting. Instant regret. Gina realizes she just leaked some high-level family drama and tries to shut her mouth before it gets any worse. The history begins to unfold. Falco and Lyra were always a duo, but they shared everything, meaning he never had a financial identity of his own. While other hunters settled down for their kids, Lyra kept moving. This nomadic lifestyle meant Falco never even got a chance to join a youth group. Then came the final blow. Lyra allegedly snatched every coin her son worked for before disappearing to start her own journey. The town treated Falco like a total outcast back then because they did not understand his messed up home life. It got so bad that Gina found him passed out from hunger and had to scramble to save him. Lyra raised him to be a weapon, so he was already outclassing grown men by the time they put him in with the other kids. Being a pint-sized killing machine just made him a freak to his peers, especially when he came back covered in blood. Years passed before Lyra finally rolled back into town, only to find a son whose eyes had turned as empty as glass. She just shrugged off the town outrage and claimed there was no issue as long as he was still breathing. Thinking about those cold excuses still makes the blood boil for Gina even to this very day. Gina shuts down the gossip train, reminding Leon that it is not his place to spill the secrets of his friend. Leon takes the L and agrees that everyone deserves a little privacy. Gina crouches down to apologize for the heavy atmosphere, but Shoko is actually grateful to finally understand what her guardian went through. Even though Gina hates the idea of that selfish woman moving in, she accepts that blood is thicker than water. Later that night, Shoko gives a big thanks for the support and the heads up about her messy new house guest. Back at the table, the vibes take a weird turn as Leon starts hyping up the potential of teaming up with a real magician. Dredd keeps it real, arguing that magic alone cannot handle a monster swarm as well as a good sword. Against all odds, the two of them start bonding over drinks while the chatter continues in the background. Our girl can only watch in disbelief as Leon manages to become best friends with the disaster magician in record time. Dredd keeps it 100 and admits that while he can torch a small group, a swordsman is way more efficient in a long fight. He would be gassed out way before the sun goes down if he had to carry the whole team. Leon laughs it off and agrees that dodging friendly fire explosions is a full-time job. He is genuinely curious how a pro magician and a hunter can actually sync up their styles. Our MC starts crunching the numbers like she is playing a JRPG. She wonders if it would be better to just dump all that mana into one big attack instead of trying to play support. She is so lost in her own little strategy guide that she does not even notice the guys staring her down. Falco snaps her back to reality, asking what is going on in that head of hers. When she mentions wanting to try out magic, Dredd gives her the coldest side eye. He shuts her down immediately, reminding her that she is a healer and needs to stick to her lane. This dude is definitely high on his own supply. Xiao decides it is best to just stay quiet and let the ego monster talk since arguing with him seems like a massive waste of time. The tension breaks when Lyra chimes in with a smirk. She asks if they are the famous duo known as the Black Wolf and the Little Healer, leaving everyone else completely stunned. Lyra sets her drink down and admits she heard the rumors about the Black Wolf. She knew Falco was involved, but the identity of the legendary healer remained a mystery until now. A smirk spreads across her face as she leans in. Apparently, our girl has a wild reputation for being able to heal even a broken heart. The group turns their focus back to the MC. They are curious about the strategy she was cooking up and press her to share her thoughts. Leon loses it and starts laughing at the growing list of her epic nicknames. Xiao is internally panicking because these rumors are getting way out of hand. She starts breaking down the tactical meta like a pro gamer. Since magicians are glass cannons who cannot handle a crowd alone, they definitely need solid rear support to survive. Dread lets out a sigh of agreement. He knows fire magic is basically useless against enemies with thick shells or heavy armor. Our MC drops a big brain play to solve the problem. Instead of a direct attack, she would use wind magic to flip the monster over and expose its soft belly. Our MC starts pitching a crowd control strategy, thinking they can use cold magic to slow enemies down for easy kills. She is basically turning support skills into a tactical advantage. The entire room goes silent as they process the idea. Gina realizes Sho is talking about weaponizing the same cooling magic that everyone in town uses for drinks during the summer. Gina asks if she really plans to use drinking water as a weapon, and Sho just nods since it gets the job done. Leon starts cracking up because her plan still ends with the hunters doing all the heavy lifting. She keeps cooking, arguing that magicians should focus on group efficiency instead of just trying to be a solo star. Lyra drops some actual high-level advice about compressing magic for better output. She tells our girl to stop worrying about the meta and just see how far she can push her own limits. Dredd suddenly stands up and decides he is done with the conversation, heading off to grab the luggage. Lyra just lets out a quiet hum as she watches him walk away. As the pros leave, Shoko starts to spiral and regrets sharing her amateur strats out loud. Leon just laughs and tells her not to sweat it because Dredd is probably just lost in thought now. Falco points out that Sho's flashy nickname definitely caught Lyra attention. Leon is basically vibrating with joy in the background, teasing them about how even the folks back at Lake have heard the rumors. Sho cannot even look them in the eye and just faceplants onto the table in defeat. Our MC reaches her limit and glares at Falco, begging him to finally make Leon shut up. She can tell the blonde hunter is having way too much fun at her expense. Falco just watches her, completely unfazed by her mini meltdown. Instead of helping, Falco just leans in with a soft look and calls his little healer cute. The compliment hits Sho like a truck and sends her into a total system restart. She tries to hide her face as a massive blush takes over, completely unable to handle the sudden praise. Later that night, the atmosphere finally cools down, but the weight of the day is clearly still lingering. After everything that went down with Lyra and Dredd, it has been a long time since things felt this complicated. Back inside, Falco is surprised to hear Sho actually call someone scary for once. He is used to her being composed, so seeing her this rattled by Dredd is a first. Sho just huddles close, admitting that the giant magician was just too intense to handle. He asks if this was her first time actually meeting a magician in person. Sho admits that the green hair was a shock, though she mostly just thought the guy looked perpetually grumpy. Falco explains that the people from Lake have always had that unique coloring, which led to a lot of nasty insults back in the day. People used to joke that their hair was just the color of swamp water. Eventually, the country just closed itself off to the world, to put an end to the mockery. Falco explains that while most magicians prefer to stay hidden, Dredd is a rare breed who loves the heat of battle. He thinks it was impressive to see the man use such massive flames to completely torch every monster in sight. Shoko stays quiet, clearly rethinking her earlier logic about a great magician's pride. She starts to realize that maybe worrying about small stuff just isn't part of the pro-magician lifestyle. Our girl has a total meltdown over the lost potential of that monster hunt. She can't believe they just burned all that meat to a crisp instead of harvesting it for a decent meal. Completely defeated, Shoko faceplants onto the bed while Falco just watches her with a smirk. He finds it hilarious that while he sees hunting as a dangerous job, she strictly views monsters as walking groceries. Thinking she needs a serious mood boost, Shoko heads over to her favorite hiding spot. She rattles around the shelves for a bit before grabbing a special box and jogging back to the couch. She presents her hidden stash, deciding that a stressful day like this calls for an emergency snack session. Even if her hiding spot is not exactly a secret, she is ready to use it to cheer everyone up. Falco is skeptical about snacking between meals, but he doesn't stand a chance against her logic. Shoko is already praising the crispy treats and insisting they go perfectly with a fresh cup of tea. Xiao doubles down on the snack logic, insisting these treats are basically heart medicine. Falco just stares, clearly losing the argument to her relentless positivity. Our boy finally takes a bite and has to admit it's actually fire. Sho is already pushing the tea on him, acting like a top-tier host to make sure he's vibing. He ends up crushing the whole stash before he even realizes it. The box is officially empty, leaving him surprised at his own appetite. Xiao notices his heart is racing and isn't afraid to point it out. Falco just stands there confused, probably wondering how she read him so easily. The mood shifts as the weight of the past starts to creep back in. Xiao cuts through the bad vibes by grabbing his sleeve and telling him it's time to call it a night. A dark memory of being told to live on his own flashes through his mind. Xiao's firm grip is the only thing keeping him grounded in the present. Xiao heads off to handle the dishes, promising to be right back. Falco is left alone for a second, looking visibly rattled as he watches her go. Our boy is stuck in his feelings, realizing that even as a grown man, his mother's presence makes him feel like a lost teenager again. It is a weird kind of mental reset he just cannot shake. The weight of being abandoned at 15 still feels heavy. Back then, he was too young to even understand how much Lyra's choice would break him. Everything shifted the moment Sho entered his life. He holds onto that feeling, knowing he is finally anchored to something real. Having a 10-year-old look after him is definitely a unique experience. She pampers him so much that he occasionally forgets who is supposed to be the adult. A firm grip on the present helps him shut out the noise of the past. He is done dwelling on what he lost and is ready to finally contribute to this town. Knowing his friends have his back makes the future seem a lot less scary. From Xiao's cooking to Leon's guidance, he is never going to have to walk alone again. Stepping out of Lyra's shadow is the final goal. He is going to keep moving forward as Falco, refusing to be defined as just another discarded piece of her past. Our boy is wide awake in bed, staring at the ceiling as his thoughts spiral. He realizes that if he just drifts along without a plan, Sho is the one who will end up in trouble. The word mother almost escapes his lips before he shuts it down. Looking out at the quiet house, he decides that Lyra needs to be gone as soon as possible. The day kicks off with Shoko busy in the kitchen, getting everything ready for the group. She catches sight of her favorite guardian and hits him with a high-energy greeting. "Good morning, Falco." Our boy actually drops a rare and gentle smile that completely resets the vibe. "Good morning, Sho." It is a peaceful moment that feels like a much-needed win. It feels like the heavy atmosphere from the previous night has finally started to settle. Shoko wants to believe the storm is past, but she is still a bit on edge. Her mind drifts back to the total chaos of dread using massive fire magic on low-level monsters. Wasting that much energy on simple slimes is the definition of overkill. You do not normally use this much power against mere slimes. Rewinding a few hours, we see Shoko was already in the zone while prepping breakfast. She is feeling pretty proud of herself for feeding all 5 residents without any help. Nice, breakfast is ready. She is looking at the cooking grind as a trial run for their upcoming mission to the northern forest. If this is just practice, the team is going to be eating like royalty the whole way. Watching from the sidelines, she notices Falco is already back to his usual training routine. He was looking pretty down yesterday, but he seems to have found his second wind this morning. Watching Lyra practice her sword skills is a reality check for our MC. She realized that while Falco and Leon are good, Lyra is on a completely different level as a veteran hunter. The energy in the room shifts as Dread looms behind Shoko like a final boss. The silence is heavy, and our girl is definitely feeling the pressure of being in the same room as him. Dread finally calls her out on the constant staring, asking if she needs something. Shoko tries to play it cool with a quick denial, but the massive sigh that follows tells a different story. It is a total staring contest at this point. Shoko is internally screaming because just when she thought things were back to normal, the weird vibe started up all over again. Time to break the tension with the one thing everyone can agree on. Shoko announces that breakfast is served and lets them know the rest of the crew will be back any minute. One bite of that food and Lyra is sold. She is genuinely impressed by the quality of the breakfast and cannot believe that Shoko is the one who cooked up something this fire. Shoko accepts the praise with a shy thank you. Falco watches them from the side, wondering if Lyra is actually decent or if he is just biased because of the food, before finally addressing her directly. Falco is not mincing words. He reminds Lyra she got what she wanted and asks when she is finally heading out since they depart in 10 days. Dread hits him with a heavy stare. He is not planning on moving an inch and tells Falco they will be hanging around for a while longer. Lyra just throws her hands up, claiming Dread never listens to her anyway. Shoko tries to play mediator, suggesting Dread should probably hear his son out. Lyra lets out a long sigh of defeat. She explains that Dread will not leave until his obsession with some local magic burns out. Shoko keeps trying to reason with her, pointing out that Dread is just making normal conversation. She even suggests it is Lyra's responsibility as his partner to talk some sense into him. Dread shifts his focus to Shoko, demanding to know the secrets behind her cold water magic. Our girl quickly tries to dodge the interrogation, claiming she is booked solid today. Dread decides if she is going to the youth group, then he is coming too. Shoko is internally screaming as she realizes this guy is actually serious about following her. Leon is totally unbothered by the tension. He tells Shoko she will be fine since someone will be there to watch over her. She just watches the group leave, feeling abandoned. Falco tries to jump in and join the group, but he is shut down instantly. He is told in no uncertain terms that he is heading out to hunt instead. Making a clean getaway, Leon leaves Shoko to deal with the fallout. He tosses a quick request for her to take care of Dread, while Falco slumps on the floor in defeat. The transition is abrupt. Lyra is already giving Shoko a suspicious stare, while our girl realizes she is officially stuck in another nightmare scenario. Out in the forest, Dread puts on a show. He stands amidst a sea of flames, demonstrating the raw power of a lake magician. The youth group is having the time of their lives. Alfie and Kane are losing their minds over the fire magic, while Shoko just stands there looking exhausted. Even with his arms crossed and a grumpy face, Kane cannot hide the hype. The display of power is just too cool for him to ignore. Dread tries to school Shoko on slime mechanics, but she is already over his attitude. She just hits him with a massive side-eye. Looking at a new lizard monster, our girl wonders if flipping it onto its back would make it an easy kill. They start theory crafting a better strategy, deciding a precise wind blast under the feet is the way to go. Dread gives the new move a try, but the lizard is so light that it just floats around like a balloon. The MC steps in with the technical support, telling him to tighten the focus and crank up the power. It works perfectly. The monster gets launched into the air with total precision, leaving even the master magician looking shook by the results. Dread gives the signal to finish the job while the boys charge in with their swords. Shoko immediately shuts down any fire magic ideas, reminding them that burnt meat and ruined magic stones are a massive L for the loot. Dread finally has to respect the logic. He admits that blasting everything with fire might actually be a waste of resources. Shoko drops some high-level theory on slime mechanics, explaining how excessive pain turns magic stones into gray junk. She suggests channeling the heat of a blacksmith forge, but Dread is not convinced he can crank the temperature that high. The master magician locks in and focuses his power, manifesting a tiny flame just to see if the theory holds up. It is a success, as the slime gets toasted perfectly and leaves behind a high-quality light blue stone. Dread admits the refined fire is way easier to handle, but Shoko reminds him that he can not just go around doing whatever he wants. Feeling humbled, he demands to learn about cold water magic while our girl just tries to survive the heavy vibe. Kane suddenly jumps into the conversation, bragging that handling cold air is a walk in the park compared to fire magic. Dread is caught off guard by the sudden technical requests. Our MC tells Kane to walk him through the basic water gathering process first. Kane is convinced a master mage can just wing it by watching. Dread disagrees and insists on hearing the proper procedure before he starts. Shoko admits she only taught them this magic because it was amusing to watch. Dread is a quick study and instantly masters the combo of cold water and air magic. Fast forward 3 days and the whole squad is finally back together. Falco and Leon show up just in time to see everyone losing their minds over the training. The kids are high on the hype from Dread's new moves and are already planning their career switches. Leon is just in the back sulking while the group gets loud. Even Falco's mood is peaking while watching the chaos unfold. Lyra decides to make her move and pulls up on our girl for a little chat. Shoko drops her name, but Lyra isn't here for small talk. She wants to know exactly how a little kid is able to read Falco's mind so easily. Lyra is standing back and judging the vibe. She thinks Falco looks more worried than happy, and admits she has no idea what is going on in his head. Shoko is stunned. She finds it hard to believe a mother does not understand her own son. Lyra doubles down on her logic. She prefers people like Dread who just say exactly what they are thinking. On the other hand, Falco never shares his thoughts. He just hits her with the anything is fine line every single time she asks for his opinion. That wall of silence is the problem. She admits that is the main reason she does not get him at all. Shoko decides to run a little test. She asks Lyra if she would want a black-tailed lizard for lunch. Here's the catch. If Falco only wants lizard ham but they are forced to eat the same dish, the lunch vibes are going to be ruined. Lyra thinks the solution is simple and assumes everyone should just state their lunch orders without overthinking it. This blunt approach is exactly why she is clashing with the group. The conversation is officially veering off track. Shoko has to reel her back in because this isn't about the menu. It is all about the intention. Falco would rather sacrifice his own comfort than let someone else be unhappy. Resistance is her first instinct. She rejects the idea of being looked after and claims her own voice is enough. A slight opening appears in the argument. Shoko acknowledges the point but prepares to drop a truth bomb. Efficiency and understanding is the goal. Talking less and being understood more sounds like a dream to someone like Lyra. Reality sets in as the perspective shifts. The weight of Falco's silence finally feels heavy when framed as a desperate attempt to stay close. Shoko drops a hypothetical lunch scenario to show Lyra why Falco stays quiet. If he wants ham but she wants lizard, his opinion just causes an argument. Lyra can only look away and claim she never wanted it that way. Shoko asks if the silence actually gets under her skin. Some people just find it impossible to handle confrontation, and she needs to realize that. Our boy Falco is a master at reading the room. He probably keeps his mouth shut just to make sure he doesn't accidentally set her off. Shoko doesn't know the full history, but she knows how he treats her. Every time she is having a bad day, he basically goes into a panic and tries to fix her mood with tasty treats. He doesn't even need to know the full story to feel what she is feeling. He is right there laughing with her when she is happy and sensing her sadness when she is down. She finishes her pitch with a bright, warm smile. This is the real Falco, a man who puts the feelings of others way above his own words. Lyra is genuinely stumped and asks how Shoko manages to read him so well. She can't wrap her head around how to understand a man who is basically a closed book. Shoko tries to explain the simple vibe of liking someone. It is all about wanting to understand them and naturally wanting to make them happy. Lyra seems stuck in the past with her own justifications. She claims she would have done anything for him if he had only asked for it. This logic is definitely a lot to take in. Lyra confesses she acts harsh just to get a reaction, which is a textbook bully move. Shoko pivots the conversation to ask if she actually loves Dread. The sudden shift in topics catches Lyra completely off guard. Shoko gets specific about how they show affection to one another. Lyra confirms they are lovers, but insists her bond with Falco was no different. The truth of his childhood comes to light. He just wanted to be held and understood without words, but the courage to ask was never there. It is a lesson in different personality types. Shoko points out that this quiet way of existing is just who Falco is. Understanding others starts with knowing they're different. Shoko explains that even a mother can't assume she knows her son's heart, and it's far too early to call it quits on him. The truth hits home as the focus shifts to Falco's literal happiness. The realization finally starts to break through Lyra's defenses. Real connection means hearing what's left unsaid. Shoko insists it's time to stop making everything about her own feelings and start looking at what Falco actually needs. The million-dollar question finally drops. Shoko asks if Lyra ever actually told Falco she likes him, and the lady finally admits she never used the words. Reminded of her own logic, Lyra has no comeback. If she never says it out loud, Falco will never know how she truly feels. Brain overload is real. After all that deep thinking, Lyra decides the conversation is just too complicated and makes a quick exit. The message is out there now. Shoko can only hope for Falco's sake that the reality of the situation finally starts to sink in. Fast forward a few days and life has taken a weird turn. Shoko finds herself watching first-class hunters smack around low-level slimes with the local youth group. Even more random. Lyra has decided to become the new shadow for Sho, following her around just like Dread does. It is basically a 24/7 interview now. Lyra never misses a chance to pepper our girl with questions, mostly because she has figured out that Sho is the ultimate translator for people and their vibes. Turns out Lyra actually gets along great with the outspoken Kane. While watching one of the kids stand around near the trees, Lyra gets curious about what is going on in his head. Since he is not hunting and just looking around, she asks Sho for a read. Shoko just smirks and tells her to take a wild guess first. Lyra gives it her best shot, thinking the kid might be injured and trying to hide it. She admits it did not feel like he was hurt during their talk earlier, but she is still searching for a deeper meaning. She is really trying to flex those social detective skills. Our MC drops the truth bomb with a confident grin. She explains that the boy is actually just bored out of his mind and wants to drop the slime hunting to practice with his sword instead. Slimes just are not cutting it for him anymore. But since he is a good kid, he is stuck in his head worrying about the rest of the group. He does not want to bail while others are still working, so he is deciding to wait it out a little longer. He has way more patience than your average apprentice. Lyra goes silent for a moment, clearly impressed by the read. Then she flips the script and asks what Xiao herself is thinking about in this very moment. It is a rare shift where the spotlight turns back on the inner thoughts of our MC. Shoko admits she was just zoning out and admiring how blue the sky looked. It is a simple, honest thought straight from the heart. No deep explanation needed. Lyra finally relaxes and agrees that the view is pretty refreshing. Back at the house, Shoko keeps a steady gaze on Falco. It makes the whole vibe incredibly awkward for him as she continues to stare. Falco tries to wiggle free from Sho's clingy grip, but she claims she needs his protection until Lyra finally falls asleep. Jump forward 3 days, it is finally time for the travelers to head out before the team leaves for the northern forest. A huge crowd shows up for the send-off. Shoko looks around for the rest of the gang while Dread deals with his new fan club. The group heads over to Lyra to give their final goodbyes. The hooded traveler notes that the pair really managed to blend in with the youth group during their short stay. She then turns the conversation to Xiao, asking if all this hard work is starting to take a toll. A memory of a girl named Haru pops up, someone who never had to lift a finger for chores and just focused on her magic studies. Shoko just chuckles, admitting she was actually way busier back in her old life. She figures this Haru girl might have just been dealing with her own version of the daily grind. Flashbacks hit of her corporate days, working late into the night and being too tired to even cook a meal. Compared to that soul-crushing cycle, Her current life feels like a total dream. She gives a bright smile, hoping Haru is also feeling better wherever she is. The hooded traveler looks genuinely stunned by her unwavering positivity. A heavy sigh follows as the traveler realizes she still has a lot to learn about human nature. Shoko is left alone with her thoughts, mulling over the name Haru. The traveler keeps guessing about Haru's real name, throwing out options like Haruna or Miharu. She looks Dread in the eye and asks him to deliver a specific message if he ever runs into Haru in the future. Our MC flashes a grin and tells him to say that Sho will be waiting in the forest for some chill time and slime hunting. The moment is cut short when Leon shouts that the carriage is finally ready for departure. The traveler just gives a knowing smile and agrees to pass the message along. While Leon handles the road snacks from Gina, the traveler decides the detour was worth it and promises herself she will come back. Just as things are winding down, Lyra turns her attention back to Falco and suddenly calls out his name. Our boy is caught off guard by her suddenly calm vibe, asking what she wants with a total look of suspicion. Lyra drops a major truth bomb about why she kept him around as a kid. She insists that giving birth and taking him on her journeys were entirely her own choices. Back when Falco was small, his dad wanted to keep him safe at home, but Lyra saw his hunter instincts early and refused to leave him behind on the plains. A rare moment of warmth follows as she admits she genuinely enjoyed their time together every day. Her smile carries a weight of honesty that is hard to ignore. She watched him grow into a skilled hunter with every passing day. By the time he hit 15, she realized there was nothing left for her to teach him. Falco puts the pieces together and asks if that is the real reason she vanished. She does not even blink, giving him a blunt confirmation. He clicks his tongue in frustration, thinking he finally understood her twisted logic. But Lyra cuts him off, telling him he still has no idea what was really going on. She leans in with a mysterious smile, making it clear she does not regret her choices. This talk was just about setting the record straight. Lyra keeps the nostalgia trip going, mentioning their old days together in the youth group. Admitting she is proud of the hunter he has become, she leaves him with the ultimate parting gift. As the carriage pulls away, Lyra leans out for one last chaotic moment. She screams that she loves him at the top of her lungs, finally saying the words she kept bottled up for years. Falco is left in a total daze, realizing Sho was the one who actually convinced his mom to speak up. It is a lot to process after a lifetime of silence. Gina is a mess, calling Lyra a selfish woman while she wipes her eyes. Xiao just nods along, knowing that is just how the woman operates. Even Leon is feeling the weight of the moment, but Falco just needs some space. He walks off alone to clear his head and deal with the fallout. Walking together, Falco suddenly stops and calls out to Xiao. He admits his chest feels tight, not realizing he is finally experiencing some real emotions. The emotional dam finally breaks, and our boy is left wondering if this sudden heaviness is normal. He has spent so long keeping everything bottled up that the weight of it all is starting to feel like a real problem. Shoko breaks it down with a simple metaphor explaining that his heart is like a bag that is just way past its capacity. Things were easy when life was all just surface-level fun, but the recent flood of reality is a lot to process at once. Even a heart full of happiness can start to ache when there is no room left to breathe. He is completely out of his depth and looking for any kind of guidance to handle the emotional overload. Our girl decides that a change of scenery is mandatory. She takes the lead to make sure he does not stay stuck in his head. She leads him over to the empty waiting area to find some quiet space, even though the last carriage has long since departed. Shoko is not playing around with this emotional therapy session. Jumping right in, she tells him he needs to start with a solid hug. Our boy is hesitant but follows her lead. Keeping it simple, she tells him he is doing just fine. Then she drops the ultimate challenge. Looking him in the eye, she says it is time to say the word he has been avoiding. Caught off guard, he tries to use his mom's own words as an excuse to back out. Shoko is not having it and reminds him she told him to keep hugging. Since no one else is around to judge, he finally lets his guard down. He leans in and whispers the word into the silence. The emotional dam finally breaks. A memory of his younger self comes rushing back as he finds his voice. A time before everything went cold flashes through his mind. Back then, he was trying to be strong and keep moving forward on his own 2 feet. A hazy memory of a smile and a promise of safety that used to be his whole world. He grips her sleeve as the realization of every ignored call for his mother starts to sink in. A flood of cold rejections and abandonment comes crashing back all at once. The truth finally comes out. He admits through the tears that he never wanted her to leave. Heavy tears hit the floor as he finally lets go of the mask he has worn for years. Discovering what actual kindness feels like only makes those childhood wounds sting even worse. He just needed a safe place to finally let all that bottled up poison out. The only thing left for her to do now is teach him how to be truly happy. When she asks if it still hurts, he gives her a tearful smile and says his heart is just full. Our boy is finally letting years of bottled up pain go. Watching him blush like that is the final straw for Shoko. She is officially done denying it. She is in love with Falco. Being an adult soul in a kid's body is tricky, especially when you're falling for someone this pure. She never meant for things to get this complicated before she eventually left. Time to pack it up and get moving. They have to start preparing for their trip to the northern forest. Shoko tries to play it off as soul nourishment, but he knows she just wants a trip to the bakery. She skips away anyway, vibing on her own level. She turns around with a bright smile and reaches out her hand. It is finally time to go home together. Falco looks like he just saw a ghost, but Shoko is already moving on. She asks if he is ready to finally get out of here. She gives him a determined look, promising that one day he will see her as more than just a little kid. Our girl is definitely playing the long game. Holding hands, they head back toward the castle walls. Leon is definitely waiting for them to return from their emotional detour. The peace was only supposed to last another 3 days before their trip north. Then the news hit, and everything changed. Deep in Koshao Forest, something is stirring. A massive group of monsters is gathering for a push toward the town. Suddenly, we get a glimpse into a much darker past. A girl covered in blood stares down an unseen threat, holding back her magic for when it really matters. She was surrounded by enemies on all sides. It was not just the monsters she had to worry about. It was the adults too. She is done being the one who always needs a shield. She wants the power of magic, a body that does not fail, and a guardian to watch over her until she can stand on her own. Sitting battered and alone in the woods, the truth finally comes out. This was exactly what she wished for. Rumors are already flying about the girl from the plains. Word is she collapsed right in front of the Magic Academy. People are calling her stories about goddesses total nonsense, but our girl refuses to stay quiet. She stands tall and shouts her dream of learning magic for the whole world to hear. She stands her ground with a determined look, even though she is surrounded by haters. High above in the academy, an instructor lets out a heavy sigh at all the noise. The reality check hits hard. Her teacher explains that magic is for elemental power, not the imaginary healing skills she keeps describing. He tells her that a 10-year-old should at least understand the basics. Her eyes well up as the harsh truth finally sinks in. She clenches her fist and whispers her real name, Miharu, desperate to hold on to who she really is. Life as a 28-year-old ended in a flash. After meeting a goddess in the void, she got the classic isekai reboot in a brand new world. The divine being was feeling generous and told our girl that any wish was on the table. Magic was actually real in this world, but it turned out to be nothing like the fantasy she had in her head. The goddess dropped her in a country of mages with zero support. She spent her early days as a child wandering alone and wondering why she was abandoned. Everything changed when she started to consider the headmaster as her actual guardian. Flashback to the day he found her huddled on the ground. He stepped in when she had no one else and picked her up. He gave her a place to stay right inside the Magic Academy. The massive scale of her new home was almost too much to take in. The teacher explains that this is the Magic Academy by the lake, where mages come to study and research. Since she is all alone, he lets her stay in the dormitory and tells her she can use the supplies from the hospital. Our girl is stunned by the hospitality and offers a polite thank you. She hesitates for a moment, trying to find the words to explain how she really got here. The teacher repeats her claim with total disbelief, questioning if a goddess really took her life. It is the same story as always. No one ever believes her when she mentions reincarnation, and they just think she is weird. Asking for anything else would be a luxury, so she plans to stay put until she is an adult. Our girl is done being the damsel in distress and decides it is finally time to get the power to protect others. Her boots grind to a sudden halt. The determination is written all over her face as she gives herself a little pep talk. Since the teacher gave her access to supplies, she turns on her heel and decides to master magic on her own. The grand staircase reveals itself in all its glory, and the sheer scale of the place has our girl feeling pretty small. Step 1 is definitely mapping out the building before she gets totally turned around. Too late for that. She is already scurrying in circles and realizing she has passed this exact same hallway before. Back at the academy, the staff is stressing out over our girl roaming the halls. They have no clue why she was dumped in the lake, and they are definitely worried about the potential security risk. The instructor suggests just dumping her on the church or at least getting her a guardian. The headmaster immediately turns the tables and offers him the job instead. Judging by that look, he wants absolutely zero part of that responsibility. The headmaster laughs it off, admitting it is a huge hassle for him too. Since nobody is stepping up, he decides she doesn't actually need a babysitter. While she sits quietly studying fire magic, he is already planning her life as his personal researcher. He figures the bare minimum is enough for now since she seems to be playing along. But the quiet doesn't last. She visualizes the flame just like the book says and unleashes a massive blast of magic. Watching the fireworks, the headmaster gets a greedy look in his eye. He is definitely not giving up that kind of raw power to the church. The instructor drops a bombshell, telling Shoko she is heading into the field with the other kids. The reality of a real battle is starting to feel way too close for comfort. This region is a monster magnet, packed with dense forests and jagged rocks. It is meant to be the perfect spot for some hands-on magic training during a live hunt. Be ready by sunrise or get left behind. The door slams shut to end the conversation. Strolling through the academy, Shoko thinks the whole mission sounds exactly like her brother's old video games. Real magic for real hunting is still a lot to process. She is busy imagining her future as a frontline mage and fails to notice the person right in front of her. A heavy thud brings her right back to reality. The apology dies in her throat the moment she looks up. This hooded unit barely flinches, giving her a short answer before moving on. The hallways are already buzzing about the return of the legendary fire mage heading for the deep forest. Shoko is stuck in place, struggling to believe a human can actually be that big. The hallways are buzzing with stories of the legendary hunter's skills. Shoko listens in, realizing the big guy's reputation is clearly well earned. A mix of pure awe and genuine fear. He's a beast in battle, but his aura is way too intense for comfort. The title Mage of Exploding Flames finally hits home. She's processing just how much raw power is packed into that one man. While she hums her way toward a fire magic study session, Dread tracks her every move. He watches her like a hawk from the hallway shadows. Her black hair is a major red flag for him. He tries to piece together how a child of the plains ended up this far out by the lake. Time for the best part of the academy, the food. The cafeteria spread looks elite, and a surprise dessert makes the whole day worth it. The academy's pantry is a win. She comes across some swamp grapes for the first time and decides to see if they taste as wild as they look. Shoko stands in front of the food stall and realizes things work a bit differently here. She watches as the other students trade their pocket money for lunch. The room is filled with the sound of happy groups eating together. Holding her tray, she finally accepts that she is completely on her own. A memory from her previous life suddenly surfaces. Back then, her friend would laugh and tease her whenever she was being a klutz. She wishes there was someone she could talk to like that now. Since the cafeteria is too crowded, she decides to just take her meal back to her room. Other girls walk past her, talking and laughing without a care. She keeps her head down and shuffles away, feeling like an extra in someone else's story. The main topic of conversation in the halls is the upcoming Star Festival. Groups of girls are already trying to decide on the perfect outfits for the event. One girl wants a mature color while her friend focuses on matching her hair accessories first. The excitement is starting to pick up, leaving Shoko to her own quiet routine. A festival, Shoko overhears other students chatting about the upcoming event while she holds her lunch tray. It sounds like everyone is already planning their outfits. The Star Festival is a big deal where everyone turns a year older at once and carries lamps up a hill. The best part is that there is no official dress code since it is such a special day. Shoko realizes this world has festivals too, and the thought of it is actually kind of beautiful since she is already stuck in another world. She figures she might as well try to enjoy it. There's just one problem: she only has the clothes on her back. She wonders if showing up without a fancy outfit would even be allowed. Instead of overthinking, she shakes the thought out of her head. Tomorrow is her first day outside the academy, and she needs to keep her head in the game and focus on magic. In this world, you're not considered an adult until you hit 20. She stares at the flame in her hand, knowing she has to keep working hard until then. By the time she reaches adulthood, she wants to have total control over her power. She clenches her eyes shut, determined to become strong enough to protect those around her. Arrival at the forest outskirts of Lake, where the charred remains of a monster hit the ground with a heavy thump as the team gets ready. Igniting a flame, the mentor orders the squad to sweep the area for monsters, while the spectators trail behind. Every step is a struggle, as Shoko realizes that her student days were the last time she actually did this much cardio. Massive monsters are lurking everywhere, making the entire forest feel like a total death trap. Standard gear won't cut it against these lizard monsters, because their skin is basically natural tank armor that ignores swords and arrows. This is where the mages shine, since a single well-placed fireball is a guaranteed one-shot kill if it lands. Magical theory takes a back seat when a sudden piercing scream echoes through the trees. A blood-curdling scream cuts through the air, sending the entire squad into a panic. They aren't just hearing things, someone is definitely in trouble. Giant lizard feet stomp through the brush as the defensive line completely falls apart. The mages start screaming for everyone to burn the monsters before they reach the rest of the group. An inferno erupts as the mages try to buy some time. Shoko watches from the ground, realizing they might be too late to stop the momentum. The squad scrambles to contain the fire so they don't get roasted by their own magic. Our girl stares into the blaze, hoping her last-second play actually worked. Just when they think they can breathe, more growls start coming from the shadows. The vibe shifts instantly when she realizes they are still in the middle of a death trap. A dozen more monsters crawl out of the darkness and completely encircle the group. This isn't just a few stragglers, it is a full-blown ambush. The mages are ready to dip, but Shoko shuts that down real quick. She realizes the monsters aren't just hungry, they are tactically targeting the younger kids at the back of the line. A cold reptilian gaze locks onto its prey. These monsters aren't just roaming, they have a specific target in mind, and the vibe is purely predatory. The realization hits our girl like a physical blow. She isn't just a witness to the carnage, she is the one being hunted. She pushes her legs to the limit, the sounds of heavy footsteps closing the gap through the trees. Her mind is a total mess of confusion about why this is happening to her. Guilt and sweat blur her vision while the truth starts to sink in. She wonders if this is the cosmic bill coming due for the lives she already had to take to survive. Survival in this world doesn't come cheap, and she tells herself she did what she had to. But those justifications don't make her pursuers any slower. Disaster strikes when her legs finally give out, sending her face first into the dirt. Trapped on the ground, she is gripped by the paralyzing fear that her second life is about to end exactly like her first. A massive shadow falls over her, accompanied by a bone-shaking rumble. She looks up to find that her nightmare has finally caught up. Deep in a memory, two mages stand among the trees while one gathers a ball of light in his hand. A young girl covered in blood and grime looks up with a desperate smile and calls out to her teacher. Haru sits on the ground looking like she just went through a meat grinder. Her mentor checks the area for any stragglers, but it turns out they already cleared their entire quota. The dude just starts laughing at the scale of the carnage. The instructor praises Haru for her hard work, but the look in his eyes is far from wholesome. He is already planning to tell the headmaster that they finally have mages who can hunt without any help. Haru just stares back, looking a bit lost in the sauce. The academy staff is doing a post-game analysis on how a monster horde managed to wreck their students' formation during a routine hunt. Despite plenty of targets to choose from, the beasts ignored everyone else and locked onto Haru the second she tried to use magic. The instructor finally puts the pieces together. Her massive mana pool was basically a homing beacon for every predator in the area. Instead of being concerned for her safety, he is already cooking up a new hunting method that would make their country completely self-sufficient. Large-scale spells are a nightmare in close quarters because they put everyone on the team at risk. If mages need distance to be effective, then the solution is simple. They just need to bunch the enemies up in one spot far away. Just as the idea of using Haru as a decoy takes hold, she enters the room to report her injuries. The mage's silent reaction says it all. They are already planning her next mission as monster bait. The instructor treats her like a piece of broken gear, telling her to go find a potion in the first-floor warehouse. He doesn't even look her way as he dismisses her for repairs. Haru heads down the grand staircase alone, clutching her hand while giving a quiet response. She is clearly feeling the weight of the situation as she retreats. After a bit of a trek, she finally finds the right room filled with rows of bottled supplies. Our girl is out of breath but relieved to finally see the potion shelf. Staring at the tiny vial, Haru realizes her knowledge of magic tools is basically zero. She isn't even sure if a single dose is enough to get the job done. The moment she uses it, her hand starts glowing and the pain vanishes in seconds. Magic medicine is straight up busted, and she can't believe it actually worked that fast. While Haru is geeking out over how amazing magic is, the instructor is in the background plotting his next move. This dude is already planning to use her as a decoy for the next mission. She looks at the empty bottle and reflects on how insane her life has become since getting reincarnated. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she remembers a voice asking if she still needs help. Miharu looks back on her student days when she was known for being laid back and clumsy. Memories of working hard flooded back, bringing results she never expected. Bullying was never an issue for her during those years. Instead, she was always surrounded by people who were happy to lend a hand. Adulting changed everything once she had to start making it on her own. She races down the hall, worried about being late, while realizing the safety net is gone. Fortunately, she landed an office job at a mid-sized company. Those early days were a struggle, and she was constantly scolded for being slower than everyone else. The grind continued until she was finally satisfied with her work. 5 years later, she was the one leading the newcomers and teaching them the ropes. Even when she was behind the pack, she always made sure to celebrate her own wins. Jokes from her coworkers started popping up about missing the old version of her. They thought she was much cuter back when she was still a clumsy rookie. A figure looks away into the distance and asks a final question. He wonders if she has reached the point where his help is no longer required. This was the ultimate price for her choices. She tried to keep her distance to avoid causing trouble, but her silence only made the situation worse. Our girl starts overthinking her entire personality. She wonders if her independent vibe makes her less likable than someone who actually asks for protection. Flashback to the night everything went sideways. One minute she was heading home from a party and the next, a massive accident changed her life forever. Huddled in the dark, she realizes she got exactly what she wished for. The goddess gave her magical power, but it came with the cost of having no one to rely on. Her mind drifts to the other two survivors from the train. She wonders if they are out there somewhere, feeling just as lonely and scared as she is. Time to lock in. Haru shakes off the despair and decides she will become a master mage and survive this world by her own strength. The ground begins to rumble as reality hits her once again. There is no time to worry about festivals when things are about to get intense. Monsters snap at her heels as she sprints through the training grounds. The instructors watch from the ridge, magic crackling in their hands. Things get messy fast. Broken pens litter the floor while the other students watch the aftermath in total silence. 2 years pass by in a flash. An instructor swings open the door with a cold reminder. Haru, it is almost hunting time. Get ready. Our girl hasn't changed a bit. She sits by the window, buried in her books, and gives a hollow response. Yes. Elsewhere in the halls, the other girls are still buzzing about how fun the Star Festival was. They wish the party could last forever, but Haru just trudges past them without a word. She keeps her head down and focuses on the mission. Now that the festival is over, the monsters are getting restless for the fall hunt. Suddenly, a rumor catches her off guard. Two students are whispering about a legendary little healer and a black-haired kid living deep in the forest. Rumors about a legendary black-haired healer are spreading through the halls. The other survivors realize this kid is already making waves by following a high priest and helping out during the hunt. This girl has clearly seen her fair share of combat, and one survivor finally puts the pieces together. It has to be Shoko, and they are just relieved to know she is still standing. Everyone assumes she is safe because she is under the wing of the legendary Black Wolf. A parent would never let their kid head into monster territory unless they were absolutely certain about their protection. That logic only holds up in a normal world. This place is anything but ordinary. Relief washes over her knowing the others from the train made it. She even hears that one of them found a new family to look after them. Even with the good news, a sharp pain lingers in her chest. She can't understand why it still hurts so much. Reconnecting might just be a burden if the others have already moved on with their new lives. Suddenly, a massive lizard monster lunges from the shadows, shattering her thoughts with a visceral roar. Ugh, let me go, she groaned, struggling against the grip that held her down. She knew she had to concentrate and dump all her magic into a single strike. A sudden flash filled her vision. Wait, she gasped, her eyes widening just before the world exploded in a massive boom. Yes, the instructor cheered, watching the monsters get trapped in one spot. He demanded they crank up the firepower and burn everything to a crisp. She stood there drenched in blood, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Her legs and arms were completely frozen. The after effects of being blown away by the blast, even with a wind spell to soften the landing, she had hit the ground way too hard. The pain was throbbing through her whole body. Worst of all, the bleeding just wouldn't stop. She stared blankly, wondering how many potions it would take to fix this level of damage. With a tired exhale, she looked out at the town sitting on the horizon. Elsewhere at the town church, the atmosphere was thick with anger. The healers were losing it, screaming about how irresponsible it was to bring a child on a hunt and then lose track of her. The healers at the church are losing their minds over the situation. They cannot believe the Magic Academy would let things get this bad. Looking at the girl in the bed, the lead healer is stunned by the damage. He demands to know where her parents are because no kid should ever be this mangled. The room fills with worried whispers as the staff realize the girl is a complete orphan. Since there is no family to call, they decide to hunt down anyone who might actually know her. This dude is disgusted by how rotten this country has become. While he fumes, another staff member sprints off to report the disaster to the headmaster. He stares at her with a heavy heart. Every inch of her small body is covered in wounds, but some are way worse than others. A quick scan reveals the brutal truth. Her right clavicle, shoulder, and femur are all fractured. The window for a potion to fix this has already closed. He is sickened by the fact that she was left to rot alone in the dirt until the hunt finally ended. He can hardly believe they didn't even notice the kid was there. His hand tightens as the realization of their negligence sinks in. The headmaster plays the role of the responsible guardian, claiming he is looking after her. The healer isn't buying the act and wonders how many hours she was left to suffer. Treatment was delayed way too long, making her recovery a total mess. While the healer explains her leg and arm might never be the same, the headmaster only asks if she is still useful enough to work. Fed up with the cold attitude, the healer refuses to let the girl return to that school. The headmaster snaps right back, reminding him who is actually in charge of her. He lays out all the headmaster's failures, from sending an orphan to a war zone to leaving her untreated. Leaving a child to rot until it is too late for a full recovery is a low blow even for him. He questions why she wasn't just left with normal townspeople from the start. The headmaster drops the truth, admitting her massive magical power is the only thing he cares about. According to him, anyone with talent belongs to the academy by default. The healer isn't having it and insists that choice belongs to the individual and their family. Fed up with the school, the healer demands they find her a real foster parent in town. The headmaster refuses, admitting the kid is way too valuable for monster hunting. This dude realizes the truth. She is just being used as a human decoy. Confirming her role as a shield, the headmaster doesn't even try to hide his true intentions. The healer calls out how ridiculous this is, and mentions a legendary healing method found deep in the forest. With the summer hunt finally wrapping up, he plans to call in a high priest from another country. He hopes a specialist can finally fix the damage they caused to this poor girl. While the headmaster acts like a caring parent, the healer isn't buying the performance. He tells the old man he better start rewarding her properly if he plans to keep using her. Dumping her back on the plains is his next brilliant idea. He figures they will be thrilled to have a powerful mage back, falling into silence shortly after. In his twisted logic, he is still the good guy for providing her with basic food and clothes. He sees no loss in discarding her now that her body is broken and useless to him. A cold sigh ends the conversation with a brutal finality. He decides they don't need her around anymore. The headmaster does not care about losing Haru. He is already planning to hunt for replacements with massive magic power to keep his operations running. Fed up with the cold attitude, the healer tells him to just get on with it. He turns his back and walks out of the room without another word. Looking at the broken girl, he realizes the headmaster has lost every bit of interest in her. She is just a discarded tool to him now. He questions if the academy ever actually cared about her as a person. While other countries treat injuries properly, this place just uses kids up until they break. Seinen thinks Haru would be better off with the hunters in the deep forest under a high priest. He knows something shady is happening in both the plains and the academy lately. The healer is torn between his loyalty to home and Haru's safety. While he tries to figure out a plan, the girl suddenly wakes up with a shock. The healer is surprised that this newcomer knows about the girl. The visitor reveals she has heard the academy rumors and even has a message for Haru from her hometown. The visitor arrived hoping for a meeting, but the news was pretty grim. Our boy the healer explained that she still hadn't woken up, though the mysterious woman didn't seem to mind the wait. Standing over the bed, the resemblance to Sho was impossible to ignore. He noted how much weight she had dropped since they last crossed paths. His voice trailing off as he looked at the fragile girl. It went way deeper than just being thin. A quick check revealed a collection of scars from old injuries that never got the care they needed. Looking at her, it was obvious she had been flying solo for way too long. Without any parents in the picture, she was just another kid left to fend for herself. Bro, the truth was even darker than they imagined. The academy had been taking advantage of her loneliness to use her as a human decoy for 2 straight years. The visitor was floored, thinking the girl had actually been there to learn magic. The healer just shook his head, explaining that being an abandoned kid from the plains made her the perfect target for them to exploit. This dude, the headmaster, clearly threw the rulebook out the window. While a scandal like this would ruin most people, the mages in charge didn't care about ethics as long as they kept their power. The local kids are already spreading rumors about the newcomer. They have labeled her the abandoned child from the plains who gets special treatment without doing any actual work. Some see her as a divine gift sent by the goddess herself. As long as she is doing okay, that is all that really matters to the people back home. Looking at the fragile girl, the guilt finally starts to set in. It is clear now that life has not been kind to her at all. She turns to her companion with a final request. If they ever cross paths with the girl when she is struggling, there is a message that needs to be delivered, a promise of a place to return to. No matter what happens, she will be waiting in the deep forest for her to come home. The medical report is pretty grim. Even with high-level potions, there is no guarantee she will ever regain full movement in her shoulder after those injuries. She pulls her cloak tight and prepares to move out. With the right people looking after her, there is still a spark of hope that things will turn around. Lyra is stressed because moving the injured girl in a carriage is a total medical gamble. She knows she is stuck, especially since she can already see Falco giving her that classic "here she comes again" look if she stays. She is actually relieved to be called in for help and promises to get the high priest to send a top-tier healer for Haru. New chapter, new mission. The shop staff are already dreaming of the rare lakefish Sho might bring back from her journey. Final checks on the inventory to ensure the black rock lizard meat is packed for the long journey ahead. Our MC is locked in, knowing she is in good hands with this elite squad at her back. Looking back, it has been a whole year since Dredd and Lyra first arrived, and the growth has been huge. Every hunt and every heal flashes before her eyes as she prepares for her biggest mission yet. Haru, just hold on a little longer. Flashback to the day the chaos first spawned. Falco was not prepared for the pure energy Lyra brought to his front door. She wasn't there for a casual chat. She had a major request that set this entire journey in motion. Falco looks like he just saw a ghost. Lyra isn't helping, immediately grilling him about whether he is heading out to hunt right now. Our girl pops into the room like a main character spawning in. She immediately asks if they have a guest. Lyra wastes no time pointing out the growth spurt. Xiao just shrugs it off, mentioning how none of her old clothes even fit her anymore. The squad is already planning a long-term stay. Xiao gives the green light immediately, leaving Falco wondering why he is getting ignored in his own house. Falco tries to protest, but one confused look from Xiao shuts him down. She innocently asks if her decision was that bad. The silence is heavy. Falco refuses to look up while Lyra studies him like a puzzle she just solved. Lyra goes for the emotional damage. She laughs and calls out his smug face, knowing he secretly thinks Xiao is adorable. Falco and Lyra are going at it again, making enough noise to wake the neighbors. Our girl can barely keep a straight face watching these two bicker. Lyra is feeling herself, claiming she is too good to lose now that she is all grown up. Seinen just nods, impressed that she can finally read Falco like an open book. Dread decides the wholesome family hour is over. He steps in to remind everyone that they actually have a high-stakes request to handle. Lyra locks in, knowing the vibes just got serious. Falco wastes no time asking if they can see the High Priest immediately as they pull up to the massive cathedral. The High Priest shows up with that elite energy. One look at the group is all he needs to know that someone is in a bad way. Xiao thinks her job is done and tries to head out with a wave. Seinen shuts that down immediately, telling her to hold up for a second. Seinen drops a truth bomb with a dead serious face. He tells Xiao she needs to stay because this conversation involves her too. Xiao is caught off guard when the High Priest invites her to join the meeting. She ends up taking a seat next to Lyra while the tea gets prepped. The atmosphere shifts as the High Priest stares her down. He drops a heavy line about how much she actually cares for the children in this place. Lyra pulls out the paper trail and hands it over. She gives him the full rundown on the girl injured at the lake, leaving him wondering why they did not just bring the kid along. It is a grim reality check. Lyra explains that Haru is too malnourished for a month-long carriage trip, and her injuries are way past what a standard potion can fix. As he looks over the medical file, the old man is visibly disturbed. Broken bones are standard, but the sheer amount of untreated trauma on a single child makes zero sense. He tries to rationalize the neglect, thinking maybe she just did not know how to use potions. Then it hits him that as an academy student, there is no way she was simply overlooked. Time for the real talk. He points out that any healer could handle a simple job, so he wants to know why they came to him specifically. The High Priest drops the cold truth that Haru is basically alone in the system. The Magic Academy being her only guardian is a massive red flag. Fixing this is going to take some serious political authority. He questions when the country became so heartless toward its orphans. Lyra admits she completely misread how things worked. The atmosphere in the room just bottomed out. The truth is finally out. Xiao gets hit with the revelation that the injured child everyone is trying to save is actually Haru. Shift to the outskirts of northern town. Checking the medical charts makes it hard to believe a 12-year-old was the one going through this. The scale of the neglect is finally coming to light. Xiao grits her teeth as the goddess's promise turns out to be a total scam. She gets pulled back to reality as someone approaches the campsite at sundown. Our boy Seinen is just chilling when Sho calls out his name. She mentions that Falco and the rest of the squad have already dipped to go hunting. Looking at the road ahead, he realizes they are in a bit of a spot. They are going to have to hit up a town tomorrow to find a bed and some actual food. Xiao is not exactly vibing with the slow pace. She looks up and wonders if they really could not have pushed just a bit further. Seinen hits her with the logic, explaining that it is a 10-day trip by carriage no matter what. Since the potions stopped working on the kid, there is no point in rushing to the finish line. Total mood. Xiao realizes that if they push too hard, they will just be exhausted by the time they actually get there. She lets out a massive sigh and admits he is right. If the journey is still 10 days out, they cannot afford to waste their energy. But then Seinen decides to make it weird. He opens his arms for a hug and points out that since Falco is out of the picture, it is free real estate. Xiao gets a rare moment of affection as she allows a hug, though she is quick to point out she is 12 and does not need it. Just this once, though. He laughs as he realizes she is getting too big to be carried around anymore. Meanwhile, our girl is already stressing about Falco catching them and getting jealous. She pulls away before things get too emotional. A heavy silence settles as she looks back with a conflicted expression, clearly lost in her own thoughts. Instead of chilling before dinner, she decides to go out and hunt some slimes to help out. He warns her not to wander too far, but she is determined to pull her weight. It does not take long to find exactly what she is looking for. A whole field of slimes is just waiting to be harvested, and she is ready to get to work. Things take a dark turn when a loud snap echoes through the forest. He spots a winged lizard nearby just as a massive shadow starts to rise right behind her. He screams for her to run back, but she is completely oblivious to the danger. The situation just went from 0 to 100. She spots a winged lizard and immediately locks in. Recalling her training, she knows exactly how to handle this, while Seinen reminds her to aim for its weak spots. These things are slow on the ground and they know it. A quick frontal assault sends it into a panic and she follows up with a perfectly timed leap. It tries to get its heavy body into the air, but she is already on top of it with a one-shot kill. The first lizard hits the ground with a thud, leaving Seinen speechless. But the vibe shifts instantly when she realizes there is still another one lurking in the shadows. Seinen steps up to handle the rest, making sure the second one does not get a chance to run. Threat neutralized, and our girl is already thinking about the menu. Seinen is just dumbfounded that her first thought after a life or death fight is a monster BBQ for dinner. Our MC's logic is simple. Good food heals everything, even if that food happens to be a giant lizard you just killed. Seinen is left speechless for a second before he just gives in with a smirk. If she is happy, he is not going to argue. She is already planning the cookout. Skewers and seasoning are the priority as the plan for a monster feast is set in motion. Back at camp, they drop off a mountain of supplies. Leon and Lyra are staring at the massive haul like they have seen a ghost. Leon spots the winged lizard meat and starts spiraling. He knows there's no way the high priest hunted this just for dinner. Our girl takes all the credit with a huge smile. Leon is losing his mind while she offers to start the grill right away. Full-blown meltdown. Leon is shaking her for answers about the solo hunt, while she just tells him to stop being so dramatic. Xiao tries to play it cool, explaining that she handled the monster solo because of her past training. Leon is stressed out by her reckless behavior, but the others are just impressed that a kid her age can hunt like that. He jokes that Falco would probably faint if he ever heard the full story. Speak of the devil, the man himself walks in with a dead serious expression. He is already hearing his name being dropped and wants to know what is going on. Leon does not waste any time and drops the bombshell. He tells Falco that the high priest confirmed it. Sho really was the one who took down the monster. The atmosphere turns cold when Leon mentions she was almost ambushed from behind. Falco just calls her name and she can already feel the lecture coming. Under Falco's intense stare, Sho starts rambling excuses about getting too excited over slimes. She is looking completely defeated while he just watches her struggle. She continues her rambling, explaining that she only wanted some pocket money and was influenced by the younger kids in her group. Falco stays calm and tells her that he is not actually angry. Falco keeps it real, acknowledging her strength while reminding her that staying alive is the top priority for any hunter. Xiao points out the technicality that she is not even a hunter yet, earning her a casual head pat. A quick hair ruffle follows as Falco celebrates the big win, admitting he is looking forward to seeing how the catch tastes. Someone is already hyping up the infinite refills and Leon is definitely feeling the vibe of an all-you-can-eat monster feast. Leon expected Falco to go full protector mode and get angry, so he is surprised at how chill the guy is being. Watching the dynamic, Leon realizes the trust between them is deep enough that there was never any real reason to worry. As they head out, it finally clicks for everyone that our girl is making major moves and growing stronger by the day. Seinen gets all sentimental about how much her skills and height have shot up, but Falco just hits him with a deadest stare. The man is clearly not vibing with the idea of anyone else lifting her. Seinen tries to play it cool by saying he only gave her a quick hug, but our girl is absolutely losing it. She enters full menacing mode and the vibe gets so intense it is basically snapping the air. Without even asking, Falco just scoops her up like she is a feather. He makes it clear that to him she is as light as air. Falco gets all sentimental, mentioning how it has been a while since she let him hold her like this. He does not think it is weird at all, even if she is out here slaying monsters. He tells her to stop sulking so they can go celebrate with some monster meat, but he is clearly not ready to let go just yet. She is just standing there completely frozen by the sudden affection. Our MC is basically a tomato at this point, screaming at him to put her down while everyone else just watches the chaos. Seinen and Leon are just vibing, realizing that Falco is always going to be this stubborn when it comes to her. That's it for today, guys. If you made it to the end, comment "heal me" so I know you're real ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. Until then, keep on cooking.